So here we go. It is another episode of Three Homos and a Pussy. We have a full panel here today. Let's do roll call, starting with Tennyson.
Heyo! What up, boys and girls? We're back for another wonderful, terrible episode.
Gabbles.
Present.
Gemini.
Yay. Yeah. Is everybody excited about this episode?
I was about to say, you sound
clearly
enthusiastic. Danimal.
Hey, so something happened between episodes. I got bit by the YouTube bug, and I'm non-binary now.
Oh, so what are your pronouns now?
You know what? The fact that you have to ask really shows how little you pay attention to me, and how little you respect me, and how little you care. So I will not answer that question. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Kava, and then to the right of me is Ray.
I failed the math check. I had to do it in my head. She's like 3. I was like, wait, where's the other 3 from? And I forgot that Cav separates herself from the rest. So I've failed math already off the bat.
Yeah, we technically have 4 homos in here today. 3.5, depending. You know, the calculations are always a little shaky with this show.
Yeah. Well, I've been told by somebody that furry is gay, even if you're straight. So
I've seen the Gallup polling. Are you very surprised that the homos are growing? I mean, they seem to be growing by the day.
Yeah, it's like they're cells and they split. You know, they just duplicate.
That's how it happens, Cobb. You didn't know that's what gay sex is?
Wow, that explains a lot. That explains MPreg.
Oh, we'll do a show on that soon. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That'll be our Valentine's Day special.
Ray, you're gonna be here for that, right?
We gotta do that DeviantArt fetish episode.
I forgot about that.
God.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
What's the video we're watching today?
So we are watching actually 2 videos. We are watching a video by Sophia Narwitz, and then we are watching a response video to said Sophia Narwitz video.
But Kav, who's Sophia Narwitz?
That's a great question. So, Sophia Narwitz is a trans woman creator. They do gaming streams. They do journalism. I think they especially did journalism in the riots from years back. So they've done some in-person journalism as well. Here's the thing about Sophia. So even though Sophia is trans, they're kind of a dissident voice in the trans community. One video in particular that she created is called "Why the Trans Activists Are Their Own Worst Enemy."
Oh, I bet you they loved that.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that was.
It went over quite well.
Yeah. It has a really good thumbnail if you ever look up that video. It's really sweet. So, in many ways, I would say Sophia's pretty based and red-pilled, but this here is a short video discussing HRT and detransition and just the effects of HRT being so accessible.
Yeah, so it's basically Sophia Narwitz's concerns over it.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is probably a classic, old school trans person seeing the direction things are going and being very weirded out by it.
Yeah. All right.
So, with that, are we ready to go?
Yep.
Let's get into it.
Let's go. This video is only it's less than 9 minutes long. We should make it through this in about half an hour.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to have much to say over it.
This video was sponsored by
by Russia Today.
NordVPN.
Actually.
Sponsored by BlackRock.
Oh no.
We own your home.
The following video is based off an article I published earlier this year. In the lead up to the piece, I spoke with multiple sources who identify as trans, but who are worried by the ease at which they obtain their meds. I also spoke to sources who thought they were trans, only to realize after they had started transitioning that they weren't. One such source is displayed prominently throughout this video. I know by addressing this topic that I will be attacked by some. At this point it comes with the territory, but I still feel it's important to highlight that I myself am transgendered. This video is by no means a condemnation of trans people, nor is it meant to downplay the importance of transitioning for those who actually are trans.
So that whole little first part, just kind of keep that in mind, because when Sophia Narwitz was talking about all the sources that she pulled from, we'll see in the next video the criticism of it and how they kind of twist that to mean something else. But anyway,
I was gonna say, how common do you think like people who are just like, oh, I thought I was trans, but then I actually wasn't, and then like end up becoming part of the detransitioning?
We watched
I don't know. What do you
interesting-
think the percentage is on that?
We watched an interesting video of a trans person talking about detransition rates and how difficult they are to get.
Right.
Some of the estimates are somewhere between 4 to 8%. I think are probably accurate of at least desistance, people who go through transition and then stop transitioning. Now, how
Yeah.
many of them stop because they realize, oh, I'm actually cis, or they stop because this transitioning thing isn't really working out for me, it's not really helping me mentally, I'm having bad medical side effects and I can't do it anymore, I can't afford it. We don't really know.
See, that's the thing. Is like I just wonder because like whenever I hear that statistic, right, it's like the people are like, oh, it's like you said, like 4%
Well, the
or less
number
of
they'll
the community.
usually give you is like less than 1%.
So, yeah, so they'll say things like that, and then but like even like if you get higher numbers, I don't know. Maybe it's just because like this is a hot button issue right now, so you always want to get like if you want to bolster your side, you're always gonna go for the most damning evidence you can, and so like the detransitioning stuff is getting overrepresentative right now, or it's actually the case that like it's massively underreported. Because that's the thing. Like I'm struggling to try to figure out is this stuff like just super like underreported and like the stats are just borked because of it, or is this like something where like it's just being used as a beating stick right now because it's an easy way to just like show like how this stuff isn't like you need to be kind of careful about it.
Probably the one big limitation, and we talked about this in that detrans video, is the high dropout rate. So when you have studies tracking results, a lot of people get surgery or they get procedures and then they disappear. We don't actually know their outcomes. Something like 50% dropout rate in a lot of these studies.
And it's not even, it's also like you said, Kav, like the reason for detransitioning kind of gets boiled down to like, oh, I just realized I'm actually not trans. Like it's kind of like simplifying it to the point where it's not useful to kind of describe it that way. Like it's more useful to kind of go into why people detransition. Kind of get what I'm saying. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that in the next few years, we're going to see more detransitioned people.
Yeah, I wonder what more looks like, because that is the big question. Is like you don't know, and we have kind of glimpses of disparate data, but it's not really linking together and forming a clear picture yet. So that's the question: is how many? Because it seems to be something that happens. Like we've gotten over that. I think it's clear that this is a phenomenon that's happening. It's just a question of how many. And I guess we'll see.
Yep.
Because it's an important one to discuss. In certain areas of the US, it's simply too easy to get a diagnosis of gender dysphoria and to obtain hormones. Via affirmation care and informed consent, young people are making life-altering decisions they may actually regret. Gender can be confusing for some. Trust me, I know. But when the process is much too fast, and when it's not rightfully questioned, people risk beginning drug treatments they otherwise shouldn't be on. And when young folk take body-altering drugs due to misdiagnosis, not only do they get hurt, but so too do actual trans people, as it will only lead to an inevitable public backlash against us. Sadly, trans activists don't see it that way, and in many circles the subject is considered taboo. Just mentioning detransitioners is enough to get some people labeled a bigot. But again, I'm trans, and if trans activists want to call me transphobic, then so be it. They can look silly as they do it, because frankly, I don't care what they think. The sad reality is that they don't have the best interests of trans people in mind, nor do they have the best interests of others in mind. It doesn't take a genius to look forward by a few years and see the turmoil that is coming.
Now, do we kind of agree with that characterization that they don't have the best for people in mind?
The trans
activists, because it seems like that it's not that they don't have the best for people in mind, like intentionally.
No, I think they're just sort of demented.
Come on, Tenny. Everybody thinks that they're doing the best.
Yeah, they think they're doing something right. Like even people like Keffel thinks she's doing something right, which, by the way, rest in pieces, Bozo getting kicked off Twitch for being a nasty little Twitter goblin, and also grooming children. But that's another story. But
there are definitely bad actors. I will say that.
Oh yeah, people who are doing intentionally malicious things under the guise they're doing something good. But then there are also more people who are just delusional and think in their warped, delusional minds that they're doing something good when they're doing incredible harm to people who do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Here's what I think is probably...
Especially children.
Yeah, here's what I think is probably true. A lot of these activists really don't care about the outcomes as much as they care about the, not the individual outcomes. They care about the activism. They care about the policies that they're able to push. They're not shedding tears over a kid who lost their fertility and has problems the rest of their life because they transitioned too early and regret it. Like, they don't care. Just tell them that story and they'll be like, oh, well, they shouldn't have done it. They're very callous about those kinds of harms. So they really see it as a cost calculation. And they don't care about a number of individuals hurting themselves as long as they can get their stuff pushed through.
Yeah.
Can't really fight back at you. I'm trying to look at people especially now, I'm trying to look at people in a more, as much of a fair light as I can. I've seen that a lot on the internet, but I think that like it's just not real to a lot of people, and they're playing these A team, B team games, and so whenever you mention statistics or things, they think that any statistic or a factoid that they don't like that goes against their narrative is just a lie, and it just does not pierce through. I'm not sure how much they really just don't care, and how much it's facts from the opposite side, and therefore hate facts.
And a big problem I think is that a lot of people fighting this battle at the moment just kind of rush to the easiest source that they can, and that source can sometimes be like also skewing things. So you have to interrogate your own knowledge gathering, how you're getting these stats and how you're kind of understanding them and making sure that you're getting them not from biased sources yourself, and then passing that biased source off to somebody else, and they go, oh, this guy wanted to talk to me about detransition stuff, but I got this fucking Matt Walsh article that's all bullshit. Like, you're just gonna ruin any conversation that person's going to have in the future too. So you got to be careful about how you're having the conversation.
How dare you accuse Matt Walsh
of not being an expert in something?
The paragon of both virtue and wisdom.
Yeah, I know. I see that a lot. Like, I see people really lazy throwing stuff around that they don't really understand. And it's just, to anybody who is actually paying attention to it, they're just like, oh, I don't trust you now. Even though you might be correct, you're just using the wrong tools,
Matt Walsh looks like a male feminist.
He does.
Shut up.
He looks and sounds.
He's got a leftist face. It's so weird.
He sits for his wife.
Hey, hold on a sec. He looks very much like, I was supposed to say something, but that he definitely looks like a youth pastor or something.
He does have
he looks like
he's got a soy look about him. He does.
Yeah, who's that cracked journalist guy? The news dude.
Oh yeah, Cody Johnston.
Cody Johnston. Cody Johnston is his twin, and I've declared that many times.
Matt Walsh is like waxed, upturned mustache corners away from being like totally like a Jacobin writer.
Yeah, I could barely listen to him talk because he just sounds so like goony.
He's like, goony. Yeah, he's a little goony.
Okay, in reality, what is a woman? Like, you. Like, your voice is disgusting. Be gone, you little goblin. Go to hell.
I don't know if he's little. I think he's a big guy.
He's little in spirit. He's little in intellect.
Anyway, this is our Matt Walsh dumping hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on. I think you all got my point. See, this is how you
Real
criticize
video
a
won't
video.
stop it. But we all gotta do something. And in my eyes, it's time to start listening to rational trans people and detransitioners so that a middle ground on medical care can be reached. I don't have high hopes it'll happen. Things are just too far off the rails. But I'd rather attempt to speak up now than look back years on and regret that I stayed silent. So here we are. All I said was I thought I was trans and I was prescribed hormones that day. A source told me who was asked to remain anonymous out of fear he'll be attacked online. It was during 2017 that at just 20 years of age, he began hormone replacement therapy to transition into a female. For years, he'd been battling gender confusion, and leading up to the decision to be seen by a doctor, he wandered into an online environment seeking help and advice. Quote, I bounced around a lot in my confusion. Sometimes I thought I was trans, sometimes I didn't. End quote. He told me before detailing how he fell into communities that helped convince him he was. It was these online groups that pressured him into seeking medication, even though he had previously expressed doubts within the group. Quote, honestly, what cemented it were the people who said, even if I'm not sure, I should get on HRT anyways because I'd miss my chance and I wouldn't be able to look the way I want later in life. So I booked an appointment at a clinic that specializes in LGBT issues, and I went in. End quote. The clinic is in New York, and he was prescribed hormones that very same day. His story isn't rare, as HRT has become increasingly easy to obtain. As other sources relayed through their own first-hand experiences, Planned Parenthood via its informed consent policies makes the process startlingly quick. Appointments usually last an hour or two, and after blood results come in, patients are written a prescription. The process of informed consent bypasses the need for a long-term therapist to sign off on medication. Transgender activists believe this prevents gatekeeping in uncomfortable situations.
Okay. Is this about the time that we should bring up that DIY hormone website, you think?
Absolutely, yes. So, those of you who are unaware, there exists a website called
Don't say the name of it in case people. Well, I don't know. Whatever. Who cares?
it's not. I don't think it has anyone's name or personal information in it.
I think. Well, it's Keffels. Didn't Keffels create it?
It's called the
No.
DIY HRT directory. It's DIY.github.io, and it's a website. Quote, I'm gonna open it right now. Just sort of.
Oh, Keffels just
It's
sponsored.
sponsors. Yeah.
Yeah, it was sponsored by Keffels, we mentioned earlier. Quote, this website intends to teach transgender people how to safely perform DIY hormone replacement therapy. This is a website basically for people who may be transgender or who might think that they're transgender, so allowing them to get DIY testosterone, estrogen, injection supplies, pills, whatever other devilry. And
Devilry. Teddy.
I've seen a couple other sites like this, actually, one or two others. One of them had a weird femboy thing going on, which is even worse because
Ooh.
that's for because femboys are not the same as transgender women, right?
Yeah, it's a
My
little bit
favorite are
crazy.
the links to shady websites where you can pay Bitcoin
Oh yeah, to get
to
hormones.
Oh, yeah,
buy
they
stuff
charge
from
in-
Russia or whatever.
Buy
You
from
can buy
Thailand or
testosterone
China.
blockers. You can buy estrogen. You can buy testosterone. I think, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Russia.
International sourcing. Here we go.
Oh boy.
I love how the right fetishizes Russia right now, and then all we hear out of Russia is the shady drugs coming.
I know.
What a
Lady
great
drugs,
country
wife
to,
beating, existential despair. Russia sucks.
But yeah, this website-
make your model of right wing.
This website, you can order hormone drugs off of it. It tells you kind of what the risks are, but only for estrogen. It doesn't have a risk section for the testosterone one.
Nice.
And the risks for HRT, yeah, it's just the drugs, but it's like the risk of getting blood clots on HRT is essentially comparable to that of cis women. So it's not really that big of a deal. Like that's kind of how they talk about the risks.
Ah.
And yeah. There's one medication on here that gives you liver toxicity, but they say you probably don't barely even need to test your blood. In fact, in the blood testing section, it says regular blood testing every 3 months or so is useful, but not absolutely mandatory.
Yeah,
Nice. So just whenever.
Yeah,
lot
just
of this,
whatever. Just free base hormones.
a lot of this gets treated very nonchalantly or flippantly, as if it's no big deal. But you have to remember, these are steroids, basically. Testosterone is an anabolic steroid, for instance, and I believe estrogen is also technically considered a kind of steroid. I could be wrong on that, but don't quote me. But this is essentially like people who inject steroids into their ass cheeks or abuse anabolic steroids, right?
Well,
It's the same. It's the same level of risk and danger, especially if you're buying like shady supply from China or Brazil or Thailand or wherever, because
Russia.
long-term steroid use will have absolutely negative health effects. Like, for
I-
instance, guys who abuse steroids, like they have so much testosterone that their body actually starts converting it to estrogen, so they grow tits, their penis and testicles shrink, they get mood swings, and so I don't see why we're not treating this with the same level of danger as, say, abusing anabolic steroids in the locker room.
yeah, exactly. But Tenny, on the website in the side effects and risk section, it says in a slightly larger font and in bold, all forms of HRT will likely make you infertile, possibly irreversibly. So they do their due diligence of warning people of the dangers, right? I mean, it's a slightly bigger font.
I don't think I don't buy that. I don't think
No.
I don't think they give a shit.
That one sentence isn't enough.
Oh, it's almost
Warn
like they
people of
took.
the risks.
It's almost like they say informed consent, but have no idea what informed consent actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is absurd. Frankly, it's absurd that you can just have websites up like this where impressionable young people, and I'm not going to try to go all think of the children on you, but like impressionable young people can go to these websites and get body altering, life destroying drugs.
Yeah.
Before they've ever been to any psychiatric counseling or talk therapy or any of that.
How long until Congress starts regulating some of this stuff, you think? Because this is
I'm
going
gonna
to be
say a while.
you think a while?
I think a while yet.
Yeah, because I think that on the one hand they don't want to legislate I don't think they really want to legislate the internet. That would just look bad. But on the other time, remember a lot of these hormones are made by the same medical corporations and pharmaceutical companies that lobby Congress.
True. And the money's rolling in on that.
Oh yeah, they can get more teenagers and 20-somethings hooked on these drugs.
Oh,
and that's
that
more.
require lifelong. I mean, it even says that going back to the risks and whatever is that you'll get hot flashes and mood swings and all that. Hot flashes, fatigue, bone density lost, etc. So they just list 3 things and end with bone density loss and then say
Yeah.
But yeah, but it says here it's like but that'll only happen if you go off your drugs. So okay. So you have to stay on them for your life.
You know that
If
thing
you
that
take,
like women.
if you take them long enough, you kill your body's ability to make your natal sex hormone.
Yes. That's why this website's such like I hate that this website exists because it's like that needs to be made perfectly clear is that when you start this you cannot stop.
Exactly. You can't just
after
go
a certain
on
point
it
you cannot
and then
not. Do it.
There is a point of no return here where you've consistently used or abused these substances. And
what's interesting is I want to talk a little bit about a detrans story that I had heard that involved not a website but Planned Parenthood, which is mentioned in this video, where she as an 18-year-old went to Planned Parenthood, drove a couple hours to the next state because they were an informed consent state, went into the appointment. It was like a 20-minute appointment where they asked her some questions, they gave her some paperwork to sign. She said they didn't really talk about risks or anything medical. They didn't even take her blood work. And they said, well, since you drove all this way, we'll give you the stuff now. So they gave her her first testosterone injection, that appointment. And they gave her a much higher dose purely because she requested it, because she believed that she needed more than a regular person. So they gave her like the high-end dose. You'll be unsurprised to know that she had like a mental breakdown not long afterward because she had so much testosterone in her body. She ended up in a psychiatric hospital with like anger issues.
It's like
imagine
abusing steroids.
So you're saying that like even like gender therapists are to the cautionary level of this fucking black market website
Yeah.
that has basically nothing.
You just go to Planned Parenthood and be like, I want some tea. And they're like, here you go.
Well, that's comforting.
Sign here.
And that's something to keep in mind too as we watch the rest of Sophia's talking about this, is that there's gender clinics that you can go to that have basically the same controls around them as this fucking Keffel sponsored DIY hormone website.
That is to say, no control whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just want to say, right, like, that's crazy. Like, she just went to the doctor or whatever, is just like, I just want to be on more testosterone because I don't feel like I have enough.
Yeah.
No required. Like, imagine going to your doctor and just being like, you know, I don't feel happy enough. Do you think you could prescribe me some PCP?
Give me a really high dose. I think I'm kind of resistant. Can you give me a really high dose of it?
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
too cool. I just don't,
I was gonna say, or ketamine or salvia or like just any like, you know, hallucinogenic drug.
I've seen ads for ketamine on TV. I think they're already doing it.
Like your doctor,
ketamine.
Yeah.
Like if your doctor's like, you know, not a quack or a hack, he's gonna tell you to go get fucked. Like, no, you don't need these things. There's nothing wrong with you enough to require ketamine or PCP. And if you're upset, the solution is not taking hallucinogenics. But like, meanwhile,
we are way off topic.
Yeah.
This is great.
I'm just saying, like, meanwhile, you can just be like, yeah, you know what? I don't feel correct in my body. Can I just get more hormones, please? And it's just like, sure, why not? Fuck it.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares? You know what?
It
Kids
is
will be
certainly unique. It is not, there's no other medical regimen that's treated quite like this.
Yeah.
You know what? It's all these trans drugs and whatnot are. They're just propaganda. This is a libertarian lawn game. They're trying to legalize all drugs.
Oh, Ron Paul's behind this. Ron Pauline.
Oh man.
Gambles, you haven't spoken much. You got anything to say?
Gambles, can you please
This is how we do
Photoshop Ron Pauline for us?
All right, let's roll through this, Sophia one.
Their views, the drug should be as readily available as other basic meds a doctor may prescribe for health problems. Think having a chest cold and being handed cough medicine. This newfound speed in diagnosing patients as transgender doesn't just extend to Planned Parenthood or other LGBT clinics either.
Yeah, Walsh?
Some people I spoke with mentioned bringing gender confusion up to their actual therapists, and in a majority
Now the beard is too long to be Matt Walsh.
No, the guy on the right. Yeah, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess so. It's
They're
not
both
too
Matt
many.
Walsh. He's duplicated.
They are very Matt Walsh. He is very
Cloning.
general.
He's spreading.
You know.
God damn it.
He's just
You know, I
average
did-
white guy.
Speaking of, I did see his documentary, and I won't get too into it, but it was horrible.
Yeah, it's not great, is it?
It was
Yeah, no
garbage.
shit.
It was complete shit.
Not complete shit.
No, there's like useful stuff in there, but none of it's
Kind
from
of.
Matt himself.
No, none of
Yeah.
it's from Matt, and yeah, he just can't get. He just loves himself. Seems. Anyway.
of cases, they are prescribed hormones within 30 days. Keeping in mind most of them see their doctor once a week or less, that's not many hours dedicated to handling a serious topic. One reason this is occurring at such speed is due to affirmative care. By its textbook definition, it doesn't sound too bad. As defined by the American Psychological Association, affirmative care is a provision of care that is respectful, aware, and supportive of the identities and life experiences of transgender and gender nonconforming people. What this has created, though, is a network of
Does that only apply to them? Is it like affirmative care? Like, is that a provision specifically for trans people, or is it expanded to other things?
It's
That is
been
the
the
standard
standard
of-
for taking care of transgender persons for decades now, ever since the 1960s or 70s. It's been the standard model.
It's been one of the treatments that's prescribed for it, but it's a treatment that's used very commonly, I would say. I don't think it's the standard of care model. I don't think blanket affirmation is it?
But here's my thing, right? Like, does it
Good
have
question.
any uses for any other like mental health or other kind of like health problems?
Affirmation
But-
therapy?
yeah.
I don't know. What else? What other mental health problems could it be useful for? Because you wouldn't do
Possibly-
it for.
Like, you wouldn't do it to treat like schizophrenia or auditory or visual hallucinations or paranoia, right? You wouldn't do it to
Well,
treat.
hold on. Hold on.
Possibly grieving. Like
I was gonna say, hold on. What about like depression or something? Especially if you think they might be suicidal, and the meds might keep them from going off the edge. Like, is that a use case?
Yeah, but like even
No,
then,
no,
you're not
I'm
supposed
thinking
to.
more like depression, but depression caused by something like a loss or grieving, like maybe helping accept that loss, affirming that loss.
The only
maybe
reason
that.
I'm
I don't know.
asking is that, the only reason I'm bringing this up or asking this is that if the only thing that this is used for is this one specific thing in, like, this case, that, like, it seems suspect that, like, this is like a legitimate form of care procedure. Then it's just like, if it, like, it just seems like, okay, affirmation, like, well, what is that? It's like, oh well, it's a method of fast tracking to get prescriptions faster. It's like, okay, well, what is it used for? Only transgender stuff. It's like, well, that's odd.
So here, well, let's see. I'm looking
Like,
up. Like,
look, I'm not like a medical professional. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of oddities in the medical world with a lot, especially when it comes to prescriptions and medical diagnosis. But
a lot of I think we're kind of talking out of our asses right now, because I'm just kind
Yeah.
of reading on affirmation therapy. And it seems that just kind of the way that we're using it is to describe this very specific treatment for trans, whereas to mental health professionals, affirmations are generalized out to just kind of positive affirmations to increase brain
Yeah,
activity.
it's not
around reward
affirmation,
and
it's
self-worth.
affirmative care. is the-
Affirmative, yeah. Or like affirming the gender. I'm not even sure if that's what they call it though. Because like,
and I looked this up. We would have to do research, I think.
yeah. Oh, we
Hey,
didn't do
yeah.
research.
Yeah.
What?
Because I know I looked up affirmative care. I know it's very much the most commonly used in the US. You're not going to find a lot of people who don't use the affirmative care model concerning gender. You can.
Yeah.
Now it's slowly being, all of their models are slowly being banned in other places.
Like, I don't know. Like, admittedly, like, I just don't think we have enough evidence to really say it's, like, definitively bad. Instinctually, like, to me, it's suspect, but that doesn't mean anything because I don't really know a lot about this.
Yeah.
But admittedly, I'm also putting pretty much all of this stuff under the microscope because I'm extremely skeptical of it.
Mhm.
It's tough. It's tough to have like good information about it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it's the
tough to
other problem
research.
too. It's just like, it's a quagmire of just like what is legitimate and what's not. What's being pushed to help a narrative or, like, lobby specific drugs or whatever. Like, this stuff is just, it's fucked right now. God damn it, Gavin.
I don't know.
see
If there's
Ron Paulina.
Oh, do you?
That is
I'm trying to.
Beautiful.
genuinely awful.
It's awful.
This image makes me homophobic now. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's all images,
I'm trying to
Tenny.
think of like who do you think has a good grasp on this whole gender phenomenon that's happening?
That's a problem, isn't it? Who can you turn
There's not
to?
one single person that I think I would say that would have a good grasp on the totality of it.
Well, that's just the other problem too. Is that I don't know a single person who I could talk to that, like, I would consider very knowledgeable on this stuff that doesn't have a bias,
Yeah,
and that's a
true.
problem.
And I got a bias on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
we all
I've been in
do,
all of
but
our
like,
podcasts.
in
strong
theory,
bias. I think you mean like they're obviously very ideologically possessed.
yeah, like, it's not like if you talk to somebody who's like, a medical professional, obviously, they have a bias towards medicine, but
Yeah.
like, theoretically, that's what you want. You want to appeal to somebody who's doing this, like, just looking at it from a very specific type of lens.
Mm-hmm.
There's always this, like, sense of people having ulterior motives.
It's because, like, even this Sophia Narwitz video, which has been pretty informational, but clearly, like, she has an axe to grind. I mean, she talked about, how they have bad intentions, the train's going off the tracks, clearly she has a bias, even though this is filled with good information. So kind of, I don't know, that's the way to listen to kind of both sides and get an idea for it. I mean, I think we've listened to people on this podcast, and even though we're mostly critical of them, I think that there's some people that we've gotten some information out of that we otherwise wouldn't have had.
long discussions and tests and whatever else to ensure that that's what they are. No individual would just go to a doctor and tell them they're schizo, only for that doctor to immediately hand them psychoactive drugs. The same logic needs to apply to trans issues, but it's not. Some doctors even proudly display that they won't gatekeep supposedly trans individuals. But it is their job to gatekeep. It's their job to distinguish the difference between someone who is confused and someone who is truly dysphoric to the point that they need medical intervention.
Okay, well, son of a bitch, I should have just let her talk. She basically went over all the stuff I was concerned about.
Yeah,
Yep.
but we dragged it out and made it entertaining.
Well, you know, you know, like, we
Did
do
we-
gotta
I don't know
service.
what made it-
Well, we dragged
We
it out
gotta
at least.
service.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, I
do
don't
gotta
know,
service the
entertaining.
people. Daniel's kind of right.
Let's keep
I'm
going.
great at servicing people.
Gemini, keep it in your pants.
Not
At least for right
everyone
now.
who claims to be trans is actually trans, and for some it really just is a phase. As a transgender person myself, I can corroborate all of this. At a Veterans Affairs hospital, I sought out a therapist to open up about gender issues I'd battled my entire life. The therapist I was given practices affirmative care, and she never deeply questioned my claims. Within a month of coming out of the closet, the subject of hormones was broached, and I could have started them right then and there. I ended up waiting an extra few months just to be sure this is the life choice I wanted, but the speed at which I was offered HRT was shocking, to say the least. Outside of the medical sphere, perhaps most unsettling are the online communities pushing individuals towards HRT. Trans discussions have proliferated the social media landscape, and confused youth and young adults are going to them for help. But at what cost? As my first source would say, quote, I was confused and vulnerable, and I had been put in a position where I believed this would solve my problems and save me, end quote. Thankfully for him, he realized it had been a mistake, and after an extended period of time, he quit hormones altogether. He still enjoys girly things, including cross-dressing, but he doesn't believe himself to be female. He just likes being pretty from time to time, which makes him part of a growing statistic as people throughout the world begin to detransition. Haven't spoken to others personally.
You know, that's kind of interesting because we were just talking about extremely biased sources. Did anybody read that Helen Joyce book?
I read most of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she talks a little bit about like how trans like bottom surgeries kind of started and kind of what they did back in the past. And it used to be a requirement that you were an androphile, so somebody who's attracted to men, that you would pass as a woman, and that you already had transvestic behaviors, so you cross-dressed. And those were like the 3 requirements to qualify for transition surgery back in like the 70s and before.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's weird. It's got a weird history to it. But Ellen Joyce said
Yeah.
it, so maybe take it with a grain of salt.
Personally, having seen enough news articles about detransitioners, it's safe to say that a not so negligible amount of people regret starting hormones. Under a belief they should start them as soon as possible, not everyone is being open and upfront to doctors about their confusion, nor are doctors digging in as deep as they should, in part because of affirmative care. So a messy situation is formed, which is tragic as these meds have permanent effects, such as breast growth and sterility. On top of that, mood swings early on are to be expected, a dangerous side effect for those who aren't even confident that they made the right decision. Whether trans or not, people battling confusion about their gender.
That's a devastating point that Sophia made that she didn't quite linger on, is the mood swings of taking the hormones and somebody who is already experiencing like this intense mental discomfort. Man, is that a dangerous mix.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Man, is that
having an chemical imbalance and just like having a little too much testosterone or not enough can really mess with a person.
Well, that
Yeah,
harkens
it's
back
not
to Kav, your
artificial.
story of
Right.
the one that went to psychiatric care. You know, I mean, was she already kind of mentally unstable before? Well,
She
before she went
was.
to gender therapy.
I think she was pretty normal before.
Mhm.
She was just. She got sucked into Tumblr, and Tumblr convinced her that she was a demi boy, and then finally a full boy.
Yeah.
And
So-
just decided this is what I am. Took a bunch of testosterone and became suicidal pretty quickly after that.
So if that's the effect it has on somebody who has a relatively normal, mind,
Mhm.
imagine somebody who's going through through a major mental health crisis as
Yeah,
well.
imagine you're a sexual assault survivor.
Right.
and you're going through a catastrophic identity crisis, and you take a bunch of hormones, and all of a sudden you're feeling totally new emotions you can't control, and your body rapidly changes, and you weren't ready for that. That could be really dangerous.
And that's why some people don't qualify for hormone replacement therapy. And sometimes those people that don't qualify for it through a medical professional will seek out those websites where they can buy them from Russia. That's another reason why it's dangerous to have those websites up.
And sexuality already battle higher suicide risks, so it doesn't take much brain power to see why downing body-altering drugs and then regretting it could further push people to an edge they can't quite as easily back away from. The real situation here is, I can't say for certain, as even in countries where wait times are longer and rules more stringent, detransition still exists. For adults looking to start HRT,
This is a really stupid question, but is dopamine a type of hormone, or is that just a brain chemical?
Hormones are chemicals that have to do with your brain, aren't they?
Okay.
Dopamine is a hormone.
Dopamine is
Okay.
a hormone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The only
There's
reason
many
I asked,
different kinds of hormone. Like hormone isn't just testosterone and estrogen. Like hormone is a lot of different.
well, yeah, it's just any
secretions.
like it's like any chemical produced by your body. So I think they're
It's
usually
your
almost
endocrine
always proteins.
system, right?
Mm-hmm.
It depends. There's a lot of glands that actually make hormones, and
Well, I think the endocrine system encompasses all the organs that make hormones.
I mean,
admittedly, I don't know.
The Endocrine Society of America is who sets the standard of care model for transgender medical care.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's real. Oh fuck. Oh.
Yeah, what, you thought I was joking that the
I
Endocrine
thought it
Society
was like a
exists?
sick joke. Why? Like, yeah, I
No.
don't know.
Nope, that exists.
Yeah, there's like the Cardiovascular Society. There's medical societies that set the standard of care for all the different functions of your body. That's how the
I don't know.
medical field
There's something I don't know. Like
You heard the
This is-
society, and you're like thinking people in cloaks.
okay. There's just something weird and like strangely dystopian in my head hearing about how there's like specific groups that are like, yes, this is how we will regulate this specific body part.
Well,
of
no,
the
I mean
human
it's
co-
not.
I
it's not
know that's not what it is, but like that's what like conjures into my brain when I
it's-
hear that.
It's really like when they set the standard of care model, they're saying that this is the most scientifically accurate care model based on this research and this data and all that, and that we highly recommend that. Isn't that what these are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we're getting way off track, and the only reason I brought it up is just like hormones do multiple different things, and I was trying to think. I was like, is the HRT hormones a more complex chemical than like say something like dopamine or something like that?
It's synthetic estrogen and testosterone.
Oh, it's synthetic.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was developed in the 30s is when the first synthetic estrogen.
Because
and
they
testosterone.
used to just probably inject whatever they harvested, or possibly
Yeah.
even
But see-
animal. I don't know. Could you do animal
That's-
HRT?
That's the thing
that even
about
work?
like
Bull shark balls.
Inject
that's
bear,
the thing
bear
about like
testosterone.
that's the thing about taking like chemicals, like any chemicals that like are supposed to alter brain chemistry. Like if you read like like there's like this old comedian joke that was like super easy low hanging fruit, where if you read the back of a antidepressant medicine, one of the symptoms was severe depression, and it's like, well, yeah, because the problem is like if you read the rest of the list, that's all of the things that could potentially alter. Brain chemistry is dangerous to mess with.
Yeah, almost like you shouldn't be buying hormones off a black market website to inject into yourself because you wanna.
Oh, I assume we'll get into that in the next video.
Pregnant horses.
Or well, I'm just still duffing on that website.
Sorry,
'cause,
I'm reading from what Gabble's just posted.
Oh, Gabble's just posted something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bioidentical hormones are different from those used in traditional hormone replacement therapy in that they're identical chemically to those our bodies produce naturally and are made from plant estrogens. The hormones used in traditional HRT are made from the urine of pregnant horses and other synthetic hormones. Nice.
You're taking horse drugs.
Horse
Basically.
paste.
Horse paste. You idiot.
probably too long a time to wait. But here in the States, 1 day or even 1 month isn't the answer either, especially in a society where activists are advocating that children be allowed puberty blockers or even pushing the notion that they should be allowed to take hormones. From where I'm sitting, it shouldn't be controversial to ask that kids not be allowed any transition medications or surgeries or whatever. But in the era of runaway progressivism, controversial it is. Which isn't to say that if your child believes themselves to be trans, you shouldn't support them. Let your child express themselves however they wish. And through time, they may outgrow it if it's a phase, or they might indeed turn out to be trans, in which case medical intervention once they're older should be a viable option. But this rush to diagnose them will only ruin countless children. A sad state of affairs, as nothing stopped me in my treks quicker than when one source relayed a story about a parent who pushed to get their child on puberty blockers within 1 week of seeing a doctor. For that child's sake, I hope it wasn't a mistake.
So
Alright.
pretty heavy video. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty heavy video.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a little sensational.
Yeah, oh,
Let's put it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't mean to brag on this too much, but like, and I get that like anyone who would have made this video probably would have done this same tactic. It's just the B-roll of like, look at these happy kids while like put on like this super serious, depressing music in the background.
yeah,
just
it's a
high-
little-
Yeah, like and look, it's a technique so common, like you really can't complain that much that it gets used, but it is, it is a form of propagandizing your audience. It's like, you're trying to emotionally sway people through the use of sensory input.
Well, as
Yeah.
an expert in video production myself, the pressure is always like when you want to put out some little piece where you just want to make your opinion known, it's really hard to get views unless you put something pretty on the screen and have some music.
No,
playing.
yeah.
If you
I'm not
even if you don't do it, it's just people staring at a screen and being like, "Why am I watching this?" and then click away.
No, yeah, I
So
agree.
it's kind
like,
of part of
okay.
the ecosystem you gotta live with.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, I accept fully that, like, that's just how things are. But I also see it as an easy way for somebody to just like immediately attack the video to like be like, oh, well, it's like, yeah, it's produced like this, and it's cheap, and it's emotionally manipulative. But like everyone would have done this with a similar topic of video if they wanted.
We'll certainly
a specific
see
effect.
if the response attacks it in that manner. Because the next video we're going to watch is another trans person responding to this video. Now you can imagine how the different positions responded to this video. There were people who really liked it, and there were people who were very unhappy about it. And we're going to look at one of those unhappy people.
Before we do, can I make a bet that this person who was unhappy with it doesn't have a great relationship with their father?
So mean.
No.
No.
I'm going to make another prediction. I'm guessing they watch a lot of anime.
Oh,
Yep. That sounds about right.
this is terrible. I disavow.
We haven't even opened the video. We're already ragging on them.
I know. Let's do it. Let's open the video.
Well, okay. To be for like devil's advocate, it's not that like, oh, like people are just dumb and they just don't. No, it's people want to like, they want to focus on the things that they want to care about, and they like to anything else that comes up in their life. They just want an easy answer because they want it to deal with it as quickly and as expediently as possible.
It's sometimes it seems like a lot of these activists just want to somehow stop the natural development of a person's life and simply artificially reconstruct what a human being is.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's like they take it's like they want to completely redesign what it means to be a person. And I feel like this ties into not just transgender activism, but transhumanism. The idea that we can just use science and industry to somehow surpass our human bodies, which I think is supremest of copes, the greatest of copes, because it's impossible. And I think that it's better if especially for kids, just let them be kids, let them grow into adulthood. And if they want to change their bodies in that kind of permanent way, then they're welcome to do so on their own time and on their own money. But don't try to alter either individual or collective conceptions of what it means to be human, what it means to be a man or a woman, just so you can feel better about your sorry state.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because I think the argument usually goes to what you say, right? That children should have no intervention, but once they're adults, they're adults and they should be able to do whatever body modification they want. And I've thought about this view, and I know we've kind of gone back and forth on this. I think there's another level here to consider for even adults. Because if we're talking about the 20-year-old, such as in the video, who within a month of a psychiatric appointment was assigned hormones and was pressured by their social group and were in a sort of confused state of mind and were given medication, how much of that is consensual? Like, when we think consenting, a person of sound mind, right? Someone who's present, who understands what's happening, who knows the consequences of their actions, but they've been manipulated, they've been lied to, things have been concealed from them, the downsides have been downplayed because of political reasons. How much of that is really consensual? Is adult transition really as clear-cut as we sometimes make it out to be? How do you consent to it?
Right.
How do you consent to a sensory experience that you can't possibly grasp? Right? If I asked you right now, imagine being the opposite sex, I don't think any of us could really say that we could.
Yeah.
Tangibly. We could sort of approximate something, maybe, but to actually be that other sex, like, that's a sensation that our brain is not wired to have.
Nope.
So how do you have someone of sound mind consent to trying to approximate it? I think that's actually a rather tricky thing.
Yeah. And that's a really difficult question that doesn't get discussed often.
I don't want to go. It also feels like, and I don't want to go full religious nut job, but I think part of this desire to this sort of transhumanist impulse almost seems like an outgrowth of anti-theism too, where it's like, or just a disdain for existence in general.
I really doubt, and like, I'm sorry to cut you off here, but I just really doubt that it has anything to do with being anti-religious, Tenny.
No, I kind of get what he's saying, because you're saying, so when you say anti-religious, you're kind of talking about somebody that doesn't have guidance in life. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah,
And that
or
somebody
maybe
who's not a theist is more likely to not have consistent guidance.
yeah, or maybe they grew up in a religious, an overly strict religious household, or a very bigoted religious household, and that made such a negative impression that they not only they stop believing in whatever religion they grew up in, but they actively want to work against it as a form of rebellion.
There's some of
Okay.
that. I think
Yeah.
what's interesting about the whole trans movement is the persistence of these beliefs in metaphysical concepts. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
the idea of gender, like, kind of floating around in your psyche, and it's just untouchable and it's immutable, and it really does seem like a religious concept, just
I think it is.
just stripped of. So in some sense, I don't think transgenderism is really anti-religion. I think it might be anti-Christian more.
Yeah, anti-Christian, I think would be a better way
Because
to
I
put
think,
it.
and this is something that a gender critical guy I watched talked about one time, which I found really interesting, was, I think he's an atheist, and he does commentaries on different trans videos. But he said Christianity in particular is a pretty material religion. In the sense
In what way?
In the sense that it believes in material reality. Like, things are physically there. It's not all an illusion. It's not just about spirit. It's not like you deny the flesh and only have spirit. It's both. Like, the flesh gets redeemed and whatnot. That's kind of a theological point.
Yeah.
But
though I think a stronger aspect is the sense of like, I grew up in a religious house, so I have to rebel. I have to despise God. I have to like dishonor or disrespect my parents.
It is the rebellion against God for the
crime of being born.
Crime of being born. Yeah, it's that. Yeah. It's that whole mess. Anyway,
it's like the same.
Yeah, all right, you turkey LaRue's. Come on.
Yeah. That's a very long conversation.
Thumping out of here.
Of theology and philosophy. Let's get on to the next video, which is the response. We can be very mean.
Hey everyone, before I get into the video, I just wanted to thank you so much for the support. I know it's been a while and I've just been doing live streams for these past few months, but I'm back in full and I hope you enjoy. A transgender YouTuber, Sophia, has made a video about HRT being too accessible. Let's see what she has to say.
I don't see why you brought up the anime point, Kav. You know, I mean, it's just, I think that's just mean.
It's so weird. How did I know?
Why did you do that?
You know what's even worse right now?
What?
Is all I can think is like, just based off of the person's voice, I was like, man, I wonder why they went with an avatar instead of a video camera.
Oh, yeah,
curious.
Come on, they're not even trying. Let's be real.
I don't think there's a Brad Pitt among us, so we have no.
I was gonna ask this person who happened to be a trans woman, but I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, I believe they are a trans woman, but the voice, could use some work.
Hey, you know,
as long as it's just a headshot, I think
Sophia does pretty well. It was interesting. Sophia did another video fairly recently. It was the trans activists are their own worst enemy, and she dropped her voice for a moment. And talked in her natural voice, and it was really like, whoa.
To be fair to this person, I'm willing to say that, like, because, you know, their avatar doesn't, like, you know, they didn't bother trying to, like, make it look like it had breasts or anything. Maybe it's just a non-binary avatar. Maybe they're just non-binary.
Maybe.
Like, I'm starting to, like, the thing is, like, I'm starting to understand these people just, like, I don't accept it, but I at least can fathom the idea of like gender deconstruction shit and where these people are kind of coming from with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we haven't seen it before. I mean, Marilyn Manson, you know.
Yeah, androgyny. It's been around.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see what they have to say.
I also spoke to sources who thought they were trans, only to realize after they had started transitioning that they weren't. One such source is displayed prominently throughout this video.
One such source? You're mean to tell me that you've got most of your information for this video from one source.
Not what she said.
That's not what she said.
Not what she said.
I know. That's not even in the ballpark of what she said.
One source featured prominently in the video.
Right after saying, I spoke to multiple people in both camps.
Like, is this like just malicious intent at this point? Can like we already call that?
Just stupid, I think.
Yeah, I think it's. Listen, we're, as the activists like to say, punching down a little bit here. This video only has like 300 some views on it, which is like, I mean, that's half of what we do, you know?
Yeah. That's terrible. How could we?
So it's in the same ballpark.
We managed to find a video with fewer views than our videos. That is a feat, my friends.
But this person does have 2,450 subscribers, so
I need to get like couples bots to sub to my channel.
I know, right? That would be nice. That would be nice.
Oh, but no, I mean. That's what I was gonna say. I'm just here for the meme at this point because we watched a video and now we're watching a reaction to the video and reacting to that video.
Yep.
I know.
We're going the
Yep.
full
We're going
mile
else.
here.
Layers on layers.
Already, we have a hasty generalization fallacy.
Oh God,
Oh,
no.
we got the fallacies.
Hold on.
I'm sorry,
hold
she.
on.
I'm sorry, they. I don't know.
No, it's not even that. Hold on. I want to they flashed that for like a second. Hold on. Can I rewind enough to
Yeah, you can rewind.
get that on
Something that's
screen? Come on. Why are you so?
One
I know it's
source.
so quick.
Already, we have a hasty.
Okay, drawing conclusion on a small sample size rather than looking at statistically that are much more in line with typical. This is not a fallacy. Hold on. I did a whole class on this. Like logical fallacies. There's not actually. There's
God,
a
are we
lot.
getting out our fedoras and stroking our neckbeards stuck in a
Yeah,
fit
let's do it.
fallacies right now? Come
Fallacies.
on.
In any
That's
case,
my fallacy.
some good data on how long it takes for people to get hormones would be nice, I guess.
Yeah.
But the fact that it happens at all is still medically significant. Because it shouldn't.
That name is impossible to read, by the way.
Junipter.
Yeah.
You nipped your what?
Maybe
What was nipped?
maybe they
What-
can't
was it
spell
supposed to be
either.
Juniper?
It's like juniper, Jupiter.
I thought it was juniper, but you're right, there's a T in there.
The T is clearly silent.
No, the T is what they're taking. Or the
Ah.
T is what they're suppressing, rather. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, no, okay, look, I hate to be this guy, but I am a nerd for this kind of crap, and I always got A+ in my communication classes, so
All right,
fuck off.
Go ahead, tip your fedora. Let's hear it.
Okay, the actual fallacy they're looking for is the Texas sharpshooter. You cherry picked a data cluster to suit your argument, or found a pattern and to fit a prescription.
Are you saying that they just Googled logical fallacies and picked the first website they saw?
Google.
Yeah, absolutely,
Google.
they did.
That's the kind of research we do around here.
To be fair,
Boy,
I
howdy.
mean,
Generalization fallacy.
I know by addressing this topic that I will be attacked by some.
Or just criticized from a philosophical logic standpoint. Don't poison the well already by preemptively saying that
God.
you know you will get attacked.
another one.
And no,
It's not
So-
poisoning the well. It's just like, I know some people won't like this, but
Right.
man, I cannot
Fair
place
enough.
this person's accent. It sounds most like 95% American, but it's like 5% vaguely European, and I can't tell.
no.
I just
5% autistic, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say it sounds a little bit like Gemini.
actually I
Hey,
feel like
hold on
this
a
video might be.
second.
Gemini, did you make this video?
I would never make a video.
I feel like I think this video might be a little bit better if it were that guy who does the top 15s.
Number 15.
Number
HRT
15.
has become too accessible. This response to Sophia Narwitz, a trans woman who wrote an article. Number 1. This is a logical fallacy.
This is hasty generalization.
This is poisoning the well.
This is poisoning the well.
Alright.
It's
Let's
such
keep
a
going.
niche reference.
I know. That's great though. Everybody knows it.
I also want to point out, because I was reading it the entire time you guys were just talking about this. I'm fine with them using poisoning the well. A lot of people do,
Uh-huh.
but that's not the actual definition for poisoning the well either. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is just shit. No,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
really
We're
not.
not watching this to be informed.
Oh,
Even though
we're
if
being
I said
informed of
that, kinda.
something.
Only about 20 seconds in, and we already have 2 fallacies.
At this point, it comes with the
Boom.
territory. But I still feel it's important to highlight that
Owned.
I myself am transgendered. This video is by no means a
Owned.
condemnation of trans people, nor is it meant to downplay the importance of transitioning for those who actually are trans.
What do you mean by actually trans? Please define.
She means
That's a good
someone with
question.
gender dysphoria, you silly little goblin. That's what it means. It's not that I don't.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
and not just gender dysphoria. It'd be like persistent gender dysphoria. Not
persistent,
So hold on.
consistent
I just-
symptoms that correlate to a psychiatric condition like gender dysphoria.
I mean,
not
it's pretty clear. Well, like when somebody says actually trans, it's pretty clear what they're talking about. Like,
I just want to point out
term that requires unpacking.
I just really quickly want to point out, like, just the fucking brass balls of this person. It'd be like, you like, what do you mean by actually this? Please define your terms. You flashed a thing you said for a second and didn't define it, and acted like everyone would know what it was.
Wait, are you gonna get hung up on?
I love that you're
every
like
single...
focusing in on the fallacy.
You're gonna get hung up on every single bit of fallacious reasoning this guy.
No, I love it. No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Look, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna like go to a website right now and actually look up the fallacy and just define it right now, which is you presume that because a claim has been poorly argued or a fallacy has been made, that the claim itself must be wrong. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna say that this person's committing that or anything. No. Why would you? Why would you guys think I would do that? That's crazy. You guys are crazy.
It is probably the worst. Yeah, it's probably the worst like rhetorical technique to be like, "Oh, that's a fallacy." You can't say that.
Like not engaging whatsoever with what the person is saying. Yeah.
It's like just argue why it's incorrect. Don't go the fallacy.
I was gonna say my communication professor said like the point of like pointing out logical fallacies is not to be like, oh, it invalidates the argument. The point of it is when you are listening back to yourself or like trying to go over your script and being like, hey, you committed a fallacy here. Like you should try to improve upon it so that you strengthen your argumentation here.
Yeah. It's good for editing and revision and strengthening.
I was gonna say the point of it is not to use it as a beating stick against other people. The point of it is to strengthen your own argumentation and rhetoric skills.
Well, their rhetoric seems great, so I don't think they need any of that.
Fallacy number 15.
We're only a minute.
Number 15. Burger King foot lettuce. The last thing you want in your Burger King meal is someone's foot fungus. But unfortunately, that might be what you get. This video would be so much more enjoyable if it was just that the entire time.
Should we just scrap this and watch one of those?
That's tempting.
Right, let's go.
Tempting.
We're a minute 30 in.
In your terms. Also, I feel like this is about to get gatekeepy or some sort of selective transphobia is about to be presented.
Gatekeeping is good.
Gatekeeping.
No,
hold on.
Gatekeeping is good.
Throwing up Wikipedia, like, look.
Absolutely necessary
I
to
did
gatekeep
research.
in any community. Some level of gatekeeping is absolutely mandatory and necessary to actually keep the community what it actually is.
But that's exclusionary. We don't exclude people here.
I don't give a shit. Never gave a shit.
In the sources on the YouTube video, that Wikipedia article is in the sources.
I had to get this up. Like, this... 3 times already, this fucker has done this. Like, just leaves a wall of text on screen. And it's just like, that's good enough. There's my source.
It's going to be the whole video, man.
Who wrote this article? This is not...
Yeah, what? Hey, what does this even say? Let's read it real quick. All right. A growing number of transphobes...
Daniel's voice is better.
Hang on. I'm going to read it, Denny. A growing number of transphobes make exceptions for those deemed good enough. They make a distinction between true trans people and trans trenders, quote unquote, who are supposedly only pretending to be trans as a fad. So that's selective transphobia. It already says in the article a transphobe.
So yeah, I was gonna say, hold on a second. Let's talk about poisoning the well for a second.
I know, yeah.
Like, what is this article describing? An actual phenomenon with people who have eyeballs and brains can identify? How dare you? How dare you make connections that seem to make sense at a glance? Don't you know you're actually horribly transphobic?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just the Wikipedia, like for this kind of stuff, is just basically a blog. You know?
Yeah, there's no sources. It's just, this is a thing.
I think this is Rational Wiki. It's probably Rational Wiki. Right?
Yeah, Rational Wiki is
Oof.
Yeah, it's like the Chernobyl of wikis. It's
It's just radioactive.
It's radioactively cringe.
No,
Yeah.
no. See, Teddy, unintentionally, got the perfect analogy because it was poorly conceived, poorly constructed, and it went all wrong in a single night, and now it's just a fucking cesspool.
I'd
Oh,
rather
it's
read Encyclopedia Dramatica.
In certain areas of the US, it's simply too easy to get a diagnosis of gender
Wait a
dysphoria
minute.
and to obtain
We
hormones
pause.
via affirmation.
Yeah.
Am I crazy, or was that poisoning the well?
Oh, doing
What?
that? What?
Saying
What's
No,
that
yeah,
they're
that's-
about to do some gatekeeping and some selective transphobia.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
poisoning the well because the actual definition of poisoning well, by the way, is priming your audience to believe, priming your audience with a selective form of information in order to trend them towards a specific conclusion
Okay.
at the beginning of the
so it's
argumentation.
like, okay, we're about to enter some bad things. Some bad things are about to be said, everybody. And
Are you
then-
saying throw the fallacy on the screen, Kav? Throw the poisoning the well
I'm
fallacy
gonna
on
throw
the
it up
screen.
there.
Are
Boom.
you saying Planet Juniper committed a logical
Juniper,
fallacy?
You did it. You committed a logical fallacy.
Oh,
I will
man.
see you after class.
Poisoning the well. I'm gonna find an image for you. All right, let's
This
keep
is so
going.
funny.
I can't believe you didn't catch that. Well, good. You caught it, Kav. Good work.
But when the process is much too fast and when it's not rightfully questioned, people risk beginning drug treatments they otherwise shouldn't be on.
Define your terms. What do you mean by rightfully question?
You do it first, asshole! I'm sorry. We can continue. That's all I had. That's all I had. It's just I couldn't let that slide.
Or I can think of as sea lioning. And if
Jesus,
Sea lining is
Christ.
another logical fallacy.
You know what? I'm not gonna rewind and try to pull that back up because I
That
don't
was up
give
for
enough
like
of a
two.
fuck.
That was less than 2 seconds.
What the hell is
Like
sea lining?
I'm sorry. Where is the self-awareness here? Where is the Please define your terms. This is sea lining. What the fuck is that? Oh, I'm gonna flash it on screen for 2 seconds and not define it.
Maybe he does. I keep saying he. I'm sorry. This voice is gonna.
Maybe
Have
this
me-
Maybe
person.
Maybe it is a he. I don't know. For all we know.
I don't know. Maybe it will define it.
God, so mean.
Look, they didn't say
What the
their
fuck is
pronouns in the
feline?
beginning. We don't know.
I don't know these logical fallacies. I didn't watch.
Amazing
What?
atheist as a kid.
Yeah, whoever logicked.
Oh.
It was some like old school cult of Dusty. The
Oh.
Worski brothers.
Oh.
I don't know. I didn't watch them. So.
Look, are you shit talking my man Armored Skeptic right now?
Oh my God, that's right. He was one of them.
Greg's
Maybe
a
you
good
should.
guy, actually.
I'm
I've
sure
talked to
he is.
Greg.
I'm sure he is. It's just
He-
it's just cringe to like look back on
Let's
that.
let's
kind
play,
of-
No, yeah.
let's play this video a little forward. See if they even try to define sea line.
Okay.
if even an ounce of sea lioning is included in your definition of rightfully question, then I'm sorry to say, but you lose all credibility, as in your logic loses its foundation.
When young folk take
Okay,
body
now.
No, they just didn't even
Something
attempt.
about definitions. That's
is
all I can
sea lining?
guess.
Rhetorically, sea lining fuses persistent questioning, often about basic information easily found elsewhere, or unrelated or tangible points, with a loudly insistent upon commitment to reasonable debate. With a loudly insisted upon
Okay,
commitment.
is that
What the
when
fuck does
you
that even mean?
Is that when you keep asking questions just repetitively, just to drag
Oh,
the
wait.
conversation? Wait,
do you mean, Cub? Do you mean that they're committing the begging the question fallacy?
is what is a woman, and asking that over and over again?
Oh,
Is that-
my
would
God.
that- would they characterize that as sea lining?
But what is
I was
it?
gonna
But what is
I was
a
gonna
woman?
say what is sea lining? What is did you just read it? Is that the definition?
I found it on Wikipedia. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I did my research.
He did his research. He looked on Wikipedia. That's how we do research here.
I'm sorry, I just you read that. my brain still couldn't fathom what the hell that was
I know,
supposed to mean.
I'm too dumb for this fallacy shit.
Yeah.
I
So
never-
let's review the actual claim here, which is you have to define what was it, reasonably question?
let
Rightfully.
me go back. Oh, rightfully.
Hold on, let's just bite
Yeah,
the bullet here.
And if
my
even an ounce of C-lining is included in your definition of rightfully question, then I'm
Yeah,
sorry
stuff he
to
knows.
say, but you
Rightfully
lose all
question.
credibility.
Oh.
Okay. So the claim is you didn't define what it means to reasonably question someone who has a gender identity. Well,
Holy fuck! You
here's
didn't
the
go through an
thing.
entire psychological field in her 8-minute video.
Here's the thing. Sophia is going to make further claims about examples of not rightfully questioning, where people literally just say, I'm trans and get handed drugs. So that should be from whence you derive a sense of what you think rightfully questioning is, which is any kind of questioning, like probing questions, like, why do you feel this way? How long have you felt this way? Has this caused you distress in your life? Tell me about that. Anything, right? But those things aren't being done, and that's the argument. So it's jumping the gun and criticizing Sophia for a case that she's about to make.
I just
Jumping
want to
the gun
really
fallacy.
Is that a
hold
fallacy?
We're making it one.
I just want to say that this person genuinely said that because a logical fallacy had committed, that the claim itself must be wrong. I'm not saying they're committing a fallacy in this video. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying they said that because this person committed a logical fallacy, that therefore their entire credibility, as they specifically said, is illegitimate and wrong.
That's a fallacy, as Gavin.
Fallacy.
I'm not saying they did. I'm not saying they did this. I'm not saying I went to thou shalt not commit logical fallacies.com. I'm not saying I did that. I didn't do that. I just looked this up because I actually remembered this from like 8 years ago. I'm not saying I did any of this. I'm not saying that I'm accusing them of anything. I'm just saying.
We're just asking questions here, okay? It's fine.
Look, I'm just a kid, just like you. Look, I'm just a kid like you, except I ask questions.
Gabbles, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I love this fedora tipping contest.
I know, it's so great, isn't it? I love it. I love it.
Who can out atheist the other? That's what I want to know.
When young folk take body-altering drugs due to misdiagnosis, not only do they get hurt, but so too do actual trans people, as it will only lead to an inevitable public backlash against us.
The only people who are going to give backlash against us because of incidents like that are already transphobic.
Then how is that not a legitimate concern? You don't want
Then you want to get those people on your side.
Yeah, you don't want to give these people more ammunition. That's exactly the problem they're describing. This is like saying that, like, oh, well, the people who would have complained about video games causing violence is just, like Jack, what was his fucking name?
Oh, Jack Thompson?
Yeah, it's just Jack Thompson. It's like, yeah, that's the problem, though. You don't want to give him more ammunition to make his stupid court cases.
He got disbarred anyway, didn't he?
Yeah, because like the courts just got sick of his constant whining.
Just mentioning detransitioners is enough to get some people labeled a bigot. But
What circles? Source, please.
You incompetent fucking baboon.
Do you have a source on that? No, a real source, like a legitimate source. Do you have no, not that one, not that one. No, a real source. Do you have a source from a mainstream outlet that proves your narrative? Do you have a real sourse? No, not that one.
Paper.
Do you have a peer-reviewed source? Because
Oh god.
I love this video. This is a fun one.
I can't believe I thought I was going to be quiet during this video.
Oh yeah. Let's keep it rolling.
Also, Rational Wiki, which provides this conversation here, would like to.
oh no, this is not right.
Oh no, the
Fuck off.
Reddit.
And Reddit. Reddit.
Reddit.
This is just really fucking good.
My life is pain, and I choose to to indulge in it.
This Reddit disproves your argument.
Oh my god!
this Reddit disproves your argument.
My
This is
karma disproves
amazing.
your argument.
This is amazing. This is amazing. They unironically did this.
Reddit.
I love it.
Everyone
I love
point and
it.
laugh at the Reddit user.
This is a very adorable video.
Yeah,
This is
in a
very
sense. It's like
Oh
baby's
my-
first video.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I'm not saying that we're any better, but
Oh no, we are leagues better. We are leagues better because we're not fucking Redditors.
true. I guess so. Yeah.
Oh my god.
To disagree with you. Stop making so many hasty generalizations. Those who are
What generalizations? What generalizations were made in this? We're not even 5 minutes into this video.
Well, it's Sophia's video. It's like a minute in.
Yeah.
Like it's just like the introduction. Like I don't think she's
Yeah,
even got
no,
the
like,
title card yet.
He's a minute into her video. We're 3 minutes into his.
He.
And this. Oh, well. Fuck.
Trigger
God damn
warning.
it.
Lots of
It's
misgendering in
video,
this
I
video.
guess.
She. Excuse me.
God.
Bleep that in
Yeah,
post,
you
right?
can't. It's
Bleep those E's
if you
out.
don't have a voice, it's gonna be impossible for people to keep up with your pronouns. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like
We just
I'm not-
associate it with a voice.
That's
yeah,
tough,
exactly. It's
yeah.
almost like people are in part defined by their biological features.
Oh,
It's almost like men have deep
no.
voices
And
and
they
women
don't.
have high
You
voices.
can't.
Funny how that works, isn't it?
So transphobic.
those who are
Ugh.
against detransitioning are selectively transphobic. And yes, that does exist. And no, the trans community isn't against detransitioning unless you look at trans people who are selectively transphobic.
Are you sure about that?
Hmm.
Are you,
I
you-
don't believe you.
Here's
do you
what
want to
my
put money
sense-
on that?
Here's my sense of the trans community's feelings about detransition. They're like, that sucks. Please never talk about it. Please never share your experience. Please never share your story. Please shut up. We don't want to hear it. We just want to continue doing our thing without hearing about these gross detrans stories. This is pretty much
Didn't
what they
they have
tell
a-
the trans people to do. They're like, you shouldn't share that because that might discourage other people.
Oh, remember the that one? What was it? Was it assigned mail? Assigned mail comic.
Yeah.
Remember that one? Where there's a comic panel where also Sophia LaBelle, I think, right?
Right?
Where they were talking about like, hey, sometimes I don't really feel trans, and they were like, oh, make sure you don't tell anybody that.
Huh.
Sometimes
I
when
wonder
I
why they would
dream,
say
I'm
that.
still my birth sex. Like, never tell anyone that.
Don't
Yeah.
they didn't they have a like horrific meltdown because Twitter did a national detransition day or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't think Twitter didn't do
No,
that. I think it was
Twitter
just
had,
people.
Twitter had a
I mean-
No,
trans day.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Like official?
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't
Well,
know.
as
okay,
official as
hold
it
on.
goes.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like let's be honest, Twitter doesn't do like when like hashtags go around. Twitter itself doesn't actually do anything to like make them quote unquote of official or unofficial. They will they will help promote or like stifle certain hashtags that they do and don't want to get to the top page. But with the detransitioning one, they let that get all the way to the top, and they didn't do anything about it. Like it was something where it seemed like they were in silent
Certainly
what's the
didn't.
word?
They didn't suppress it.
Yeah, they didn't suppress it. So what's the God? I'm trying to think of the word. They were like condoning it.
Condone.
That's
yeah.
the word. Yeah, like, they were silently condoning that it was a thing, and people lost their shit over it.
I missed all that. See, I don't hang enough around the internet, I guess.
For the best.
I wish I spent less time on the internet.
But again, I'm trans, and if trans activists want to call me transphobic, then so be it. They can look silly as they do it, because frankly, I don't care what they think.
And logic doesn't care if you have committed the genetic fallacy. You aren't going to.
Shut up. Stop posting these Reddit tier definitions, you sad little garbage person.
Oh no!
Basing-
It's cute.
basing the truth of an argument on the origin of its claims or premises.
I don't get it. Where did this happen?
Hold on
The
a second.
genetic fallacy? Yeah, I don't know what's
They
going on
called
here.
me a bigot, and I don't care if they call me a bigot.
Aren't
That's
they
a
doing
genetic
the...
fallacy.
Hold on. Let me get the actual one really quick and compare these definitions. You judge something as either good or bad on the basis where it came from or whom it came
that's
from.
the genetic fallacy. I don't understand how it applies to
Yeah.
anything Sophia said.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. Like, I just want to say really quickly. So this is bravo. You've actually produced a real fallacy at this point. However, it's also one that you yourself have committed.
Oh, because discounting Sophia's sources, things like that.
Yes.
I love this video.
I love this
is
little
so cute.
angry anime voice.
Yeah.
If you had no context as to what year this video was released, what year would you say it was released?
2000.
Wow.
I'm just gonna say 2011, 2012.
Yeah, it's like 2011, 12, because most people had some video editing software by then, and they were doing little avatars.
I love it. It's
like good old
pre-VTuber, you know.
Yeah.
Ray, would you consider this a Rant Sona video?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely a Rant Sona.
Like the problem is that like some people never left 2012. Like it's depressing, but like this.
Oh yeah, no, like I would say like TJ Kirk never left 2012.
When we do Rant Sonas, can we have our characters all in different poses that we could manipulate to
we
show
need
like
more...
like face palming?
Yes, we need
I
that.
I
can't believe you just did a fallacy.
I will model an entire VTuber thing before I do a Rant Sona. Don't test me. Don't test me.
We need our own armored skeptic. We need to do that.
Look.
Let's keep going.
Look, are you saying that you want to commission David Aragon, a lovely artist from Mexico?
He did our lovely art.
If we get Rant Sonas, we're helping out a third world artist.
All the way down in Mexico, where everything's a sepia tone.
Everything's yellow.
Oh god, we're so screwed.
Who cares? We're good. We're amateurs.
This. I don't care if one is trans or not. If they have said something that is transphobic, then they have said something that is transphobic. And if that's too hard for you to understand, well, excuse me. The logic doesn't give a shit. Philosophical logic is demonstrable, and we have certain proofs based on mathematics to check if a statement holds up. What?
There's mathematical proofs.
Logic, have you ever heard of it?
Yeah,
what? No?
I gotta find. There's this amazing.
There's like no way to be more a priori of math than doing rhetoric argumentation. What? It's like maybe stats, but
you're saying there's not a mathematical proof to show if somebody's transphobic or not?
My brain is on fire right now and leaking out of my ears.
See, if A represents a person saying something that's transphobic and B represents them being trans, well, B is 0. So it doesn't matter. So therefore it equals A.
Oh my god, this person's literally the embodiment of that Redditor meme. Except it's unironic.
Gabbles, how impressed have you been with the rhetoric so far?
I don't know. I don't think I browse enough Reddit to understand this level of IQ.
Yeah, I know it's very high end, very logical.
I need to watch like Rick and Morty on 3x speed, I think. Then I'm set.
No. You need to watch it on half speed so you absorb more of the knowledge.
Oh, right, yeah.
See, now you think of it with portals. The cake is a lie. How many more shitty Reddit memes can I shove in here now?
In this moment,
let's keep going.
We might not make
this one. Does not.
The sad reality is that they don't have the best interests of trans people in mind, nor do they have the best interests of others in mind.
Source, please.
Go away! go away with your.
that was so unexpected. That was a great timing.
This is a Reddit jump scare. Just talk about source.
That was such a good
Source?
comedic timing.
You know,
Imagine like a Five Nights at Freddy's style game. You just like your battery runs out, and there's like a bunch of redditors. Source.
All right, let's keep.
You know what? Hold on. Are we doing a drinking game now? Are we doing a drinking
if you
game
wanna.
where every time he says source, we're gonna
She.
say, God damn it! I'm sorry.
It.
Look, they. I'm
This
gonna
was-
decide to
They,
stick to they.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
they.
can
They're
probably-
usually pretty safe.
Thing, the
I
goblin.
can probably do they. I don't think I'll be able to remember.
Source. Let's keep going.
It would take a genius to look forward by a few years and see the turmoil that is coming.
Are you committing a slippery slope fallacy now?
Realistically, this video
I'm
won't
not
suck,
reading
but we all
that.
gotta do something. In my
Is she? Dylan's crying.
Oh my god. Oh, I love this.
You know what? I'm impressed. That's 2 actual fallacies so far. Let's keep going.
and in my eyes, it's time to start listening to rational trans people and detransitioners so that a middle ground on medical care can be reached.
First of all, a middle ground has been reached. The consensus within the trans community, which isn't selectively transphobic, is that detransitioning is okay.
Do you want to put money on that statement?
A source,
You wanna
please.
Do you have a source?
Do you want to bet like $50 on that right now, bud?
I think
Like-
most trans people that aren't like part of the activist crowd and constantly on Twitter or Tumblr or any of those sites are pretty okay with detransitioners, you know? I think that's probably
Sure.
true, right? That's your statement?
agree.
Yeah, but that's
I
not the
agree.
argument. The argument is how do we prevent detransition? That's what this
Right.
is all about. It's not,
Yeah.
how do we let people detransition? No, it's how do we not diagnose people with gender dysphoria who don't have it?
I love this though. Like, I knew it was gonna be bad as soon as they interrupted, and they're just like a middle ground has already been reached. I was like, sweet Jesus, they're gonna say status quo is the way.
Yeah, source, please,
That's
on that middle ground
exact-
being reached.
I'm
Committing a fallacy?
I'm gonna get some alcohol here. in like
Alright,
3
we're gonna
more
keep pushing
minutes.
through. We're gonna keep pushing through.
I cannot believe to be so specific with my wording here for these gender misinfo proponents, but here we are.
I do not want to hear any anyone who's on the trans activist side talk about gender misinfo. I do not want to hear it. I don't give a fuck.
You know what?
I stopped caring. I don't want to hear people who say, "Oh, you can stop and start hormones whenever you want." Talk about misinformation. Okay? I don't want to hear those kinds of people tell me what misinformation looks like.
I'm more upset by the claim that they've been very precise with their wording.
Yeah.
That's more offensive to me.
There's a good point here though. That that was quite the mouthful. I bet you this person's amazing at
Jesus. Jesus.
I know that was mean. We'll probably have to cut
Probably
that.
have to
Just-
cut that one. Oof.
I'm keeping that.
Christ.
Even he's like, wow, Ray. Wow.
When you edit that, you send that clip to me so that I can use it.
Yeah, keep it like as its own clip and
That's
send
that.
it to us so we can
It'll
use
end
it.
it with a Jordan Peterson gif.
Inch 15. Inch 15.
Up yours, woke. We'll see
Up
who
yours,
cancels
woke
who.
moralists.
I'm sorry. I had to make that joke because they just like their line. These gender misinforming peddlers. It's like, geez, that was not smooth at all. They
Second of
didn't
all-
roll off
They-
tongue
the-
even remotely.
You know what it is? It's a little bit of a lisp.
Yeah, it's like a stuffy nose and a lip. That's kind of what's doing it.
Did the misinformation.
So mean. Let's keep going. I hope they never see this video.
I
You know
know.
what?
Poor
We're
baby.
hoping that Daniel, we're trying to see if we could get banned from YouTube off of a single
No,
video.
I know.
Let's not do that. Don't do that.
Harassment.
Don't
So-
deliberately try to get banned.
Yeah.
Second of all, yes, we should listen to rational people. If by rational you mean people who commit multiple fallacies within the first few minutes of their video.
Or people who perfectly agree with you already. Because
Yeah, true.
How
That's what
dare we
everybody's
have
looking
to-
for.
I was gonna say, how dare we have dissenting opinions about things? How dare we have how dare we have a spectrum of ideas, if you will, out on the market for people to listen to?
Disgusting.
Let's-
You wouldn't want to have to be put on the spectrum. I'm just saying.
Rational trans people
Yeah,
like
let's-
me.
Right. Who uses rational wiki? It's in the name.
This video has been a treat.
Oh, hasn't it? Let's keep going.
What you call rational, I call bullshit. And no, we shouldn't listen to bullshitters.
Then
rational, I call bullshit. Take
You know what,
We gotta
Questions.
go longer. We gotta go longer than a minute without pausing.
Yeah,
I'm
we got
sorry.
I'm not
I'm
sure
sorry.
we can take it.
Let's get through Sophia's part, and then
Yeah,
I'm
let's-
sorry. I
let's
just
go.
wanted
It's
to.
just- yeah.
Don't have high hopes. Things are just too far off the rails.
Off the rails. Remember,
Say
she
fallacy.
opened her video by stating that she'll predominantly use one source for her information.
She didn't.
That's not
she
what
didn't
That's
say
she
that.
not what she
said.
said. That's not what she said. You brain dead mongoloid.
Oh, that's not what she said. Oh my god. Oh, but this
Yeah.
person's logic, I'm not going to listen to them either.
Yeah, one train off the rails doesn't mean all trains are off the rails. Hasty generalization.
He wandered into an online environment seeking help and advice. Quote, I bounced around a lot in my confusion. Sometimes I thought I was trans, sometimes I didn't.
Why, yes, this can happen with gender dysphoria. This does not imply detransitioning happens to a majority or even a big minority of the trans community.
Sophia Narwitz didn't even make that claim.
yeah,
She didn't say that. That's just not what she said.
Wow, it's
this,
almost
this
as if
can happen. It's possible that someone can be wrong.
Right.
it's almost as if Sophia Narwitz at the beginning of this video said that people would just attack her for daring to make this video. I wonder who that would be.
Oh, I don't know who. I hope they don't commit any fallacies, though.
you know? I hope they only use Rational Wiki if they do.
It's them, the fallacy checker.
Ugh.
It was these online groups that pressured him into seeking medication, even though he had previously expressed doubts within the group.
If such groups exist, which is a likely possibility, then they are a part of the gender misinfo that you yourself are promoting a part of here.
Quote, so I booked an appointment at a clinic that specializes in LGBT issues, and I went in. End quote.
Instead of you just talking about problems nonstop, let me offer a goddamn solution for a change. These fears are valid if we accept all emotions are valid. Valid in the sense that we shouldn't degrade someone for feeling how they feel at a given moment. Instead of just complaining about it and trying to limit HRT for all trans people, how about we give puberty blockers to children who express confusion? They don't have permanent effects, and the decision to go through
You
No.
want to bet?
No.
You want
that's
to
just
bet
not
that,
correct.
bud? You want to bet on that one, bud? How much money?
let's just put all kids on hormone blockers
Yeah, let's give kids drugs
until they're 18.
Let's give kids endocrine disrupting drugs.
I had to miss this during the Sophia Narwitz part, but I just want to point out these people say that oh, you might miss your chance, but in these people's mind, there's people who try to do HRT in their 30s or something. When exactly is your chance?
Well, here's the
These
thing.
people.
It's a difficult thing because the earlier you transition, generally the better cosmetically you get results. For instance, that's why puberty blockers are pushed so much, because if you block puberty and you prevent the puberty process, then when you take cross-sex hormones, you're going to end up looking more masculine or feminine according to whatever you're taking.
Mhm.
Or at least that's the belief. I think it's pretty well founded. If you stunt puberty, it's going to have that effect. And if you
I mean, I
take
guess. I mean, look what happened to J.S. Jennings.
Yeah. If you take HRT early in your 20s, it's going to have a better effect. And you know what? Minors take HRT, and this is something that's not talked about a lot, but it is common in the US for 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds to be put on hormones for gender dysphoria. This happens routinely. It's not an edge case. Because the earlier it is, that's seen as the better the cosmetic results.
Yeah.
And if you wait till you're like 40, it's like, well, most of the masculinization has been done. Like you're just a 40-year-old dude. No amount of estrogen is going to really make you look like a biological woman. So that's the argument. So the argument is they want the cosmetic side. What they don't want is to discuss all the consequences of all this cosmetic alteration.
Yeah, how this stuff ages is kind of
how it ages, how long the stuff lasts, how long do breast implants last.
Oh god damn it! I did make a big deal out of it. I committed the fallacy of straw manning, guys. Oh my god!
Oh no! You damaged your credibility, Ray.
Oh my god! It's a fallacy.
Sentence you to reading Rational Wiki for the next hour.
No. I'd kill myself.
Biological puberty can still be an option if you so choose to stop taking them. That way, when we can figure out our gender identity in early adult years, we don't have undesirable changes to our body. Sounds good? Great.
The clinic is in New York, and he was prescribed hormones that very same day.
Yeah, this story, though, is about a 20-year-old, so you couldn't block puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is someone who late in life decided they were trans. So this has nothing to do with anything.
It's almost.
What fallacy is that?
Just rambling nonsense. Is that a fallacy?
Avoiding having to engage with criticism by turning back on the accuser. You have answered criticism with criticism. Sarah actually linked it to me.
I wasn't serious. I don't want to know what the actual fallacy is.
Yeah, shut up, Reddit.
Look, they're useful tools. Come on. They're not.
Yeah, for nerds, maybe.
As HRT has become increasingly easy to obtain.
Source, please? Don't worry. I've done your job for you. According to Planned Parenthood, in most cases, your clinician will be able to prescribe hormones the same day as your first visit. No letter from a mental health provider is required. In most cases, however, does this reflect the average? Well, it's hard to say, but from...
Hold on.
Wait, if it's most? Wait, if it's most?
Most is more than average.
Yeah, it would. To be fair, it wouldn't reflect the average. It'd be higher than the average.
It'd be higher than the average.
Be the median.
So hold on. Is this person trying to say that just because you could do it, that on average a lot of people participate? Is this what he's
so this claim that Sophia made that you can get them the same day. Here's a source that says exactly what she just said, but something.
Is it the average?
What the fuck?
It's a very strange refutation.
I love the worst.
Conceding.
The worst part is the moment they brought up an actual source and they actually went into it. It just
demolished them.
It demolished their own argument. Jesus Christ!
It's funny that one sentence or couple of sentences completely demolishes the reason for this video existing.
No doctor's note. Just same day.
That's the criticism.
God!
And it exists. You just proved it.
This person's a fucking goblin.
Or maybe that's a genetic fallacy.
What I've seen, Planned Parenthood is the only supplier of HRT that does this. Is this a bad thing? In the case of detransitioning, it can be. And I don't exactly agree with this one-day policy, but this doesn't represent...
Hold on. Wait a minute. I don't necessarily agree with this one-day policy. You mean the whole reason Sophia Narwitz made the video?
Yeah.
It's one level of her criticism, right? Because she says, okay, like 1 day, that's crazy, right? And even this person has to admit, yeah, that's kind of crazy. And then she goes on to list other examples where it's more like, in 30 days. of like a couple appointments, which is equally crazy. But then they just ignore that. Like, nope.
I also want to point out that, like, to my knowledge, Planned Parenthood is the only one that works. Well, then why didn't you do more research? Why'd you get a single source then?
Yeah, what is the average? What's the average weight to get
hold on. I actually want to point this out. They just brought up a source. They got a single source and then complained about how incorrectly Sophia Narwitz had only a single.
I like you keep saying narwhal. It's funny.
Look, okay, yes, but anyways, they complained that she only had a single source, which was incorrect. However, in this case, they did legitimately only provide a single source.
Excuse me, there is, let me check the sources on the video. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sources.
Yeah, 6 whole sources.
3 of them are Rational Wiki.
Oh my god. Hold on, what are the other 2 that wasn't the Planned Parenthood article?
Wikipedia, and then
oh my god.
What is this? A critical review of the literature of puberty blockers from
the
National Library.
So 1 good source.
2.
I mean, it's
2.
like 3 paragraphs.
2 good sources and 4 bullshit.
1 is actually peer reviewed. 1 is just like a statement from Planned Parenthood describing their standards. The rest is just stuff. Cool.
Isn't all providers. You have a point on Planned Parenthood, but nothing else.
In their views, the drug should be as readily available as other basic meds a doctor may prescribe for health problems. Think having a chest cold and being handed cough medicine.
Who is saying this? Source, please.
Lots of
people.
Standard transactivism now. They want you making it in your bathtub.
Yeah, you know who's saying it? Keffels.
I love the
like somebody who's like big, trans, and famous.
I love the lack of self-awareness on this person, because in their own video they are saying the things that Sophia Narwhal
just keep calling them Narwhal. It's funny.
Anyway, Sophia Narwhal said that, like, they did the thing that she said that they want, that they just want this prescribed easily and readily. Because this person was just like, well, why don't we just give all young people hormone blockers? Now, granted, that wasn't HRT, but they're still the thing that she was describing. I love the lack of self-awareness. I love the fact that I would be comatose if I actually drank every time this person said source.
I want to say something.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm doing good.
Post is doing great, obviously.
I just like this. This is so amazing.
You know what this is reminding me of?
Testosterone is easily obtained by today's teens. In Oregon, a 15-year-old can walk into a gender clinic.
Video? That's what it
yes, there are
reminds her
now
of?
gender clinics all over the country, and walk out the same day with a prescription for testosterone without her parents' permission.
I'm not saying there's a connection, but I'm not saying there isn't a connection either.
You know what the connection is? It's true. It is a thing that happens. That's the connection.
By your own source that you showed.
Like, 2 sources noticed 2 true things. Oh no.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they're true. These are
look,
things that happen.
Cav, I already told you, I'm not saying this person committing a fallacy. I'm not saying that.
You're not saying that. You're not doing a fallacy, are you?
I want to die.
Some people I spoke with mentioned bringing gender confusion up to their actual therapists, and in a majority of cases, they were prescribed hormones within 30 days.
Source, please.
Keeping in mind, most of them see their doctor once a week or less.
You wrote it.
Okay, first off, they're like, source, please. You troglodyte. They said they anonymized the data. Yeah, they anonymized the data to protect the victims. And they said that they got this information specifically from them talking about their experiences with their own therapists. What do you mean? Where's the source? Fuck you.
Many hours dedicated to handling a serious topic.
So
one reason this is occurring at such speed is due to affirmative care. By its
Source?
textbook definition, it doesn't sound too bad. As defined by the American Psychological Association, affirmative care is a provision
Source,
of care
oh,
that
wait,
is
you said it.
respectful, aware, and supportive of the identities and life experiences of
what's it
transgender
gonna
and
happen?
gender nonconforming people. What this has created, though, is a network of providers who don't deeply question whether someone who
It's a
claims to be
jump scare.
trans is actually
coming.
trans.
Again, what do you mean by deeply question? Please define your terms.
These
Jesus.
doctors just affirm the identity.
Stitch's law.
I just want to say this person has like 3 catchphrases from this video.
I know.
This is a fallacy. What is your source? And define your terms. Like they have said those 3 phrases.
I know, it's great
So-
commentary. It's great commentary, right?
We're almost at 11 minutes.
Yeah,
Just
and
keep
go
going.
with it.
As one is supposed to do when talking to a transgender person, you shouldn't just dead name someone because you're skeptical of their gender identity.
Who's saying
This
that
is just
dead naming?
pseudo skepticism
What?
taken to a whole new level. Stop shoveling the misinfo.
Who's dead naming anybody?
When did that even get mentioned?
Hold on.
I go
Maybe
to
we
my
need-
therapist. I'm like, I'm having problems. I feel like I
They're
might
like,
be
sure,
another.
Brian. I guess you
Do
are
we-
Brian.
Do we have to bite the bullet and do like a 30-second recap here in case we missed something?
No, we
Nah.
don't. They're just loading in their own
No, I get that, but like,
bugaboos about what this topic is.
no, I get that, but like the problem is I don't know what part of Sophia's argument they were responding to.
None of it.
None of that.
But while gender dysphoria is a very real issue, no one should just affirm it for anyone.
Why not? If by anyone you mean anyone who wants gender affirmation.
Wait,
Why not?
why should a psychologist not just go,
Oh,
probably
okay.
schizophrenic, aren't you?
Okay, I'm back at it. Get some more ice water. What have I missed?
You just stepped on Gabbles. This is the first time he's spoken in 3 hours.
Oh. Oh.
It's all
I
good. No,
completely
no.
forgot.
I'm
what I-
sorry, Gabbles, but what's your source?
Yeah, what's your source, Gabs?
Your source, Gabbles. No, Gabbles was saying that obviously a therapist's job is to question your self-perception. So,
Right.
So when you
That's-
say things, when you talk about your experience, you're like, okay, let's probe into that. What do you mean when you say that? How do you really feel? How do you feel about this or that? What makes you think that?
Wait a minute, Cav, are you suggesting that a therapist's job is to probe their patients to diagnose what potential mental conditions that they're suffering from?
That sounds like conversion therapy to
That
me.
does sound like convert. I'm sorry. I repent. No conversion therapy.
I
You
was
should
actually just
walk
gonna
in-
go.
Why do you even need a therapist, really?
Yeah.
I was just
I got
gonna
a
go
website
for the
for you.
lowest hanging fruit and just go transphobia or whatever, but that works.
This whole probing thing sounds really interesting to me. That's all I
Yeah.
can say.
That's a different kind of therapist. We'll talk later.
Then why shouldn't we affirm their gender? Come on. I'd love to hear
Come
your
on.
reason.
Oh, geez, it's almost as if they spent a whole video talking about how there's an epidemic or potential epidemic of people who detransition because they were prescribed hormones too fast. So it's
Oh
as
my.
if you just watch the whole video and just then go after the fact and maybe watch it 2 or 3 more times and really absorb what the hell you just watched and understand the argumentation that you'd understand. What do you... What
Yeah, but
they
to,
mean...
to
Like,
be fair to them, there was no anime or Fortnite or
Yeah, it's tough to
anything.
pay attention to.
It's hard
You
to
know what?
listen.
you know,
Maybe
yeah,
Sophia did like Minecraft going
There
on.
was
You know,
no
you're-
Like,
K-pop
her to talk over.
anywhere.
you know, you're right. This is the most unwatchable Evangelion's ever been.
Listening. I do it out of self-preservation. I don't want anyone to dead name me, so I don't dead name them. I also do it out of respect for my fellow fucking human. So again, I'd love to hear your reasoning.
On the same hand, someone claiming to be schizophrenic wouldn't just be handed medications to aid them. No, they'd go through a series of long discussions and tests and whatever else to ensure that that's what they are.
Oh, so your reasoning is a fallacy of irrelevance. More specific.
What?
Drink.
Drink. Everybody drink. Deep drink, everybody.
Oh my god.
What the hell is this? Like, I'm sorry, my brain exploded so hard I couldn't remember the perceived fallacy, this troglodyte claim that I've used that word so much in this. I'm sorry, but like
it's now banned from the podcast.
It is.
Yep.
You know what? I got to think of a more creative insult. This fucking horse fecal matter just spewed out.
Oh, so your reasoning is a fallacy of irrelevance. More specifically, a false analogy.
It's a weak analogy.
Is it a false analogy?
Well, are they going to explain it? Here, let's hear them out.
I'll bet not.
Honestly, I don't know why I'm surprised. Schizophrenia is a mental illness. Gender dysphoria is not. You are comparing an apple to a fucking roasted steak. Sure.
Is it not?
No, it is a mental disorder. You horse's ass.
Isn't like mental disorder anything that's to do with the brain? That's out of whack, kind of.
Yeah, isn't it?
You think? Like, what else could it be?
Like, it's not a disease. It's just, well, something fucked up. I don't know.
It's like your wiring's wrong. Okay. Yeah. Like, what else could it be, though? Is it spirit possession? Is it... This is what I mean, the metaphysical concepts that get lumped in here.
I mean, it's literally in a book called The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders.
I was supposed to be a Gemini, but I was born in Aquarius.
Same.
Both are food, but they're not even in the same category of food. Gender dysphoria and schizophrenia can be present in the mind, but one is a mental illness and one is not.
No, they're both mental illnesses.
One is a mental...
That's why they require treatment.
Oh!
The other is not. It is in the brain, but it is not. Just like how some foods are foods, but they're different kinds of foods. I think that might be the weak analogy here.
Yeah. It's apples and oranges.
Right, don't think so and wanna object? Well then, my friend, you are actively partaking in pseudoscience woo-woo. More specifically, gender woo and psychology woo.
No individual would just go to a doctor and tell...
So hold on.
If you don't think it's a mental illness.
Yeah.
If you hold on, let's just think about this line of logic. If you question my reasoning about this, then you're just wrong and a bigot. That's basically what this person just fucking said.
Yeah. I'm just so mind blown. I'm out of gas.
I know, right? Like this is drained me. Man, this is the greatest depressant I've ever been on. It's better than alcohol.
Yeah, it is.
Schizo, only for that doctor to immediately hand them psychoactive drugs. The same logic needs to apply to trans issues, but it's not.
What you call logic, I call bad reasoning, and the two cannot coexist.
Some doctors even proudly display...
We can eliminate you.
Great argument.
Fantastic. Nailed it.
Oh.
You could be doing you bad reasoning.
I'm rubber and you're a glue.
I'll gladly Highlander you off of this planet if it means I have to put up with less stupid people.
You cut it. Good logic. I cut it. But the reasoning.
Gatekeep supposedly trans individuals, but it is their job to gatekeep.
Why? Is their job to treat their patients or to gatekeep their patients from treatments?
How do you have patients without gatekeeping?
That's the same thing.
I have a broken bone and you're gatekeeping me from getting a cast. No, you don't have a fucking broken bone.
You know what? You guys are just bigots. I think I have cancer, so therefore I'm gonna go get chemo tomorrow, okay?
Yep.
Their job to distinguish the difference between someone who is confused and someone who is truly dysphoric to the point that they need medical intervention.
And someone who is actually trans can be mistaken as quote-unquote just confused. So how do you suppose we fix this?
What? What do you mean? That maybe somebody might not receive the proper treatment? I don't think that's happening as often as... The problem is that the treatment is going out to too many people right now.
I'm going to commit a sin here. Not a fallacy. I'm going to commit a sin. And I'm going to armchair psychologist this person for a second.
Oh boy.
And maybe say that the reason that they're so upset about this video is that this person isn't really trans, and that they are in fact one of these kind of fashion people that are just doing it for the fashion sense, kind of, more or less.
I don't know.
And
I
they're-
think they might be trans, but they might just be dumb.
I think
That's
low
possible.
IQ is my bet
Don't
right
eliminate
now.
stupidity.
I think we have a lot
Look,
of evidence for dumb.
Hold on. Here's my reasoning for it. They are like hyper focused on the idea that this person is like making a no true Scotsman argument. Like, they're extremely focused on that fact. It's like, it's not something you would make unless it would somehow come back to, like, to attack you, or like, or damage you and your credibility as something you want to identify as.
Or they didn't like the treatment they received, so they have stick up their butt about it.
That could be it too.
Maybe they just weren't allowed to get treatment and they're pissed.
I kept showing the therapist a bunch of like Reddit pages on their phone.
Well, this Rational Wiki article actually explains
Yeah.
why I need HRT right now.
Oh, and here's my
Let me show you
here's
my
my
FNAF
DeviantArt
video.
page.
Oh my god.
Is actually
$5,
trans,
this
and for
person's
some
a
it really
furry.
just is a phase.
Instead of thinking and asking questions about your reasoning, you just reaffirm your previous statement. This is almost getting to the point of ad nauseum, and it's making my brain hurt.
No, that's not
Another
a fallacy, you
fallacy.
twit.
You restated your argument? Ugh.
Gross.
And
We
no,
wouldn't want
you-
that.
And no, ad nauseum is not a fallacy, you twit.
Go.
As a transgender person myself, I can corroborate all of this.
Source? Do you know source? Source?
Teddy, let him speak.
This is the
please.
most ipse dixit anecdotal evidence, genetic
Oh my
fallacy
god!
mixed-
Oh my
Oh,
god!
he's overdosed.
I apologize, Teddy. Teddy, you were right. You were correct. Before they even spoke,
You called it,
correct.
yeah. Let us never cut off Tenny.
rapid
He's
fire
like-
fallacy accusation.
I'm gonna go get a bottle of whiskey. If it's not empty by the end of this video, then I didn't watch this video correctly.
God, you really are a 2011 atheist. Like, being like, oh, this makes me want to drink. Comical.
That's yeah.
slushy I've ever seen. Again, I'll repeat myself for those of you watching who didn't grasp me the first time. Let's say an actually trans person goes to a doctor, but then gets mistaken as being just confused. How do you suppose we remedy this problem? Think it's not an issue? Think that would never happen? Well then, viewer, citation needed.
Veterans Affairs Hospital, I sought out a
Nothing.
See, that's why I
worked
cut. That's why I cut him off, Cav, because I knew there
I
wasn't
thought they were
anything
gonna
at the end of that.
say, I went through that. I was mistaken for confused, and I would have been like,
No,
yes.
No, it's the monkey flinging argument. You never admit weakness, because otherwise you lose.
The therapist I was given practices affirmative care, and she never deeply questioned my claims.
Yes, because they are not supposed to pathos gambit sea lion manipulate you into
gotta
second
keep
guessing
going. I can't
yourself. By the way, you're criticizing.
Does this qualify as speaking a different language at this point?
I mean, it's throwing out terms and not explaining them. Like, what's the point of doing this?
It's like
you know what?
watching. It's like watching one of those crazy Pentecostal church services where the person starts seizing up and speaking in tongues.
Yeah, a little bit. Sea lining.
Affirmative care, which applies to the rest of the LGBT community. Affirmative care should be completely irrelevant when talking about HRT accessibility. And if I'm wrong,
What?
What?
How?
What?
That is what affirmative care is.
Hold on.
Affirmative care
They
should not
just
be
said-
should not be considered is not relevant when talking about HRT.
I just want to point out this person's about to say it if I'm wrong and is going to get a qualifier. So I need to
Qualifier,
hear the
let's
rest
go.
of that because I need to know what I need to buy off of Amazon here.
if I'm wrong, well, I can't tell since you never give any sources, just vague anonymous stories.
I'm getting this person a pair of reading glasses.
Oh my god!
Well,
I'm
yeah,
getting them-
let it.
She said sources who wish to remain anonymous.
Oh,
And then
I'm
herself.
getting
Beginning of the video.
Yeah,
Ye-
she's talking about herself right now. Like, it's not an anonymous source, you idiot.
Within a month of coming out of the closet, the subject of hormones was broached, and I could have started them right then and there.
Breaching the subject of hormones doesn't imply, hey, do you want some? Even so, your one anecdote doesn't represent all cases, which means it's not really good evidence for why HRT all around is becoming more accessible.
Hey, I got shot by a gun and it hurt. Hey, your experience of being shot and it hurting is not generalized to everyone.
That's a generalization fallacy.
Do you have a source for your gunshot?
Outside of the medical sphere, perhaps most unsettling are the online communities pushing individuals towards HRT.
Which communities should I remind?
It's almost as if she interviewed people and got their life stories to use that as her evidence for this. It's almost as if just declaring anecdotal evidence doesn't actually erase the idea that it's legitimate evidence.
Let's let him. Oh God, let her.
Oh no, Kessel.
Remind you of this.
Trans discussions have proliferated
No,
across the
Reddit.
landscape, and
No,
confused
no more
young
Reddit,
adults
please.
are going to them for help. But at what cost?
It just
Yes,
flashes it
you
like it's a
should be
punishment.
asking, but at what cost? But what cost
That's what
will
she's
come
asking.
from gatekeeping the trans community? And yes, I
Oh, for the love of all things beautiful, shut the fuck up.
Teddy, let
Shit.
it go. Let it go.
Let it go.
No, like this is this is asinine. This is completely absurd. This is completely ridiculous. It's like we have the trans people. We gatekeep. That's how you gatekeeping is literally how you determine whether somebody is actually trans or not. That is the for a therapist, gatekeeping is employing a set of criteria that determines whether a person has gender dysphoria or has schizophrenia or has some other identity disorder or some other like condition, so that they can actually get treatment.
You know
The
what's
treatment
funny
that they require.
is that the trans activists will insist that trans people exist, right? They'll say this as a mantra. Trans people exist. They've existed throughout history, and they say it very affirmatively, as if it's something very solid that you could diagnose. But
And then they don't actually want to offer a diagnosis.
yeah, but then
for any
you're like,
standards.
oh, maybe we should try to diagnose people as trans before we do it. How dare you? What if someone
Yeah.
is
No.
mistaken for not trans? And it's like, I thought trans people exist, bro. Like,
No,
Yeah, like if something exists, you can
there should be a way to
talk
find out.
about it.
Like, find
Yeah,
out.
you can talk about it in some way.
Cobb, you're thinking of this as if it's a cardboard box. You need to think of this as more of a an intangible cloud that just
Yeah.
exists.
It
like
exists
something you- it's-
somewhere.
It's something you can't grab. You can't like really feel and like really like pat down. No, that you need to stop thinking that it's something extremely tangible and real and physical that you could conceive of. No, you need to start thinking about it in an abstract, like bullshit way, because that is going to be better for just humanity in general, really.
So gender
know?
woo.
And yes, I do mean all of it. What she is advocating is discriminative gatekeeping at the expense of those, according to her, are really trans.
It's
Ow.
supposed to be discriminating, you idiot.
As my first source would say,
You mean your first and one of your only sources?
You
But
don't
move from
Not
only
one-
source to one of your only sources. So he's made some
Oh,
progress
God.
here.
We've moved the goalpost. Hooray!
Oh, fallacy.
but he doesn't believe himself to be female. He just likes being pretty from time to time, which makes him part of a growing statistic as people throughout the world begin to detransition.
A very small statistic ranging from less than 1% to 5%. Again, this is well known.
Is 5% really a
That's
small statistic?
That's 1 in 100 or 1 in 20.
Yeah.
5% is pretty significant. And if it's as high as 8%, as at least one study suggested, that's even higher.
Yeah.
Kev, you're a bigot. Dill, you're a bigot.
Ah.
Teddy, you're a bigot.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just
We're all bigots here.
Oh,
Yay.
MI is not much of a bigot.
I have ran
Wait,
out
what?
of. I'm genuinely speechless.
and the trans community consensus isn't advocating against detransitioning.
So a messy situation is formed, which is tragic as these meds have permanent effects, such as breast growth and sterility. On top of that, mood swings early on are to be expected, a dangerous side effect for those who aren't even confident that they made the right decision.
Instead of actually giving timetables, she just says, these are the effects and they're permanent, so allow me to do your job for you.
Oh, please.
This is a timeline for changes within MTF HRT effects.
Why are you zooming in so much? You're missing a lot of the chart.
Didn't this person claim? Well, okay, hold on. They claimed hormone blockers had no effect. I just want to point out that that person complained about a thing, and then for a really long period of time did not interrupt this video, almost as if they knew. Because I was sitting there wondering, I was like, oh, geez, you're gonna pop back up with a bullshit statement, considering that this entire section just completely refuted your preemptive argument, and then they didn't stop, and instead they waited to get to this point to specifically attack a small portion of this part. I'm calling it this malicious at this point.
I don't know if it's malicious. I think it's just dumb.
It's hard to tell the difference between stupidity and maliciousness.
It is, but let's take a look at this chart here. I'm going to back it up just so we can get the full chart. Okay. So we got within 6 months, we get the onset of fat redistribution, reduced muscle, softer skin, lower libido, reduced erections, breast growth, and testicle shrinking.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, that sounds like something that probably requires some, medical knowledge, a professional.
Hold on, wait.
Something very serious you're putting somebody on. Go ahead.
Is it wait, this graph, is it saying that within 4 months, your libido will be lowered and your reduced erections become complete?
Oh,
not will, but may. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Especially libido.
Estrogen definitely kills your libido.
Yeah. And then we got completion time, fat redistribution after 2 years.
And I noticed none of these effects are
year.
things like, cancer risk or infertility.
Yeah.
It's all just cosmetic changes that you want. So you're like, ooh, my fat's gonna redistribute. Yeah, baby. I'm gonna have softer skin.
Oh my god.
Testicle shrinking 2 years. Or, within changes occurring after 6 months up to 2 years. Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine, being on HRT for half a year, give or take, and then you realize this isn't what you want, but you can't really reverse these changes?
What is the onset time? What is that referring to? What is that?
I think that's when you can start experiencing it. Within that time period is when it starts.
Potentially within 2 months, you can start to.
Yeah.
And then after 4 months, it says changes occurring for lower libido. I'm sorry, I'm just using that one because that one's the shortest amount of time for something that happened. That's
when the changes are definitely occurring, and then they complete at some point.
So,
12 months.
And my God, I'm genuinely curious what this person's going to how this person's going to use this data to retort, because this is alarmingly fast for a lot of this.
It really is, isn't it? And they and that kind of gets downplayed. Yeah.
3 years. Pretty much everything happens in 3 years.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say everything can start to begin, or with all of these, within 4 months, you could start to experience all but one of these effects.
By 3 years, all but one are completed.
Holy Jesus.
HRT effects. Notice how the only thing that is permanent after 3 months is erections. After that, it'll take another 9 months for a number of changes to be completed. This is an attempt, if not a sad one, to be fallacious with statistics.
Trans are
under a year.
People battling confusion about their gender and sexuality already battle higher suicide risks. So it doesn't take much brain power to see why downing body-altering drugs and then regretting it could further push people to an edge they can't quite as easily back away from.
This is a common bigotry tactic, using statistics or knowledge of suicide to push a certain selectively transphobic narrative.
And trans activists do the exact same thing. they say shit like, if you don't give this teenage boy estrogen or puberty blockers and estrogen, he's going to kill himself. It's really the kind of it's the thing that like an abusive spouse will say to their husband or their wife, or family members. It's the things. It's very. It rings with the tone that an abuser would use to justify getting what he or she wants.
Used as a bludgeon a lot.
Exactly.
In both directions, I'll acknowledge, but it is.
How completely unempathetic can you be? Like you and I, Miss Person, saw this. Who is this person's name?
Planet Jupiter.
This Griswold-looking ass person. You and I saw the same statistics. How can you not be sympathetic to somebody who's like, within 3 months, my changes can be permanent, and I can't walk back from that?
Well, 3 months at like the earliest, but 9 months. 9 months. That's 9 months.
Yeah, a lot of people sit through hormones for a number of months before they quit, if they do desist.
I mean, 9 months is from St. Patty's Day to Christmas.
How can you be so just callous to these people who are just like, this, like, within a relatively speaking short amount of time, completely fucked my life?
Precisely.
How can you think like this?
It can be turned on her, though. Let's say we allow her gatekeeping trans hormone policy to be implemented. What about those who are actually trans but get mistaken for just being confused and not given proper treatments? What about those ones who are already suicidal? See, if you're already in a bad mental state, like you said, this entire narrative can
Get antidepressants. They work better than you think they do.
Can be flipped on you. How do you suppose we fix this? Because you offer no solutions whatsoever and just complain about your own hasty generalizations. I already offered a solution: puberty blockers. And along with that, societal acceptance.
That's
not a solution.
Not a solution.
Anything.
Also,
That's what she's talking about. That's what
I was going to say,
about, kinda.
Firstly, that's not a solution. Secondly, the stories that she went over was for people in their 20s, so puberty blockers do jack shit by that point. But what is this?
And puberty blockers don't prevent transition because we know the statistics.
Yeah.
People who go on puberty blockers pretty much always transition.
Yeah, they do. Oh, wait. Source, Cobb.
Source.
Trans people so that puberty blockers can be implemented early. Again, puberty blockers are safe and can be reversed,
No, they're not.
which is a really good option when compared to having the potential for irreversible damage.
But here in the States, 1 day or even 1 month isn't the answer either, especially in a society where activists are advocating that children be allowed puberty blockers or even pushing the notion that they should be allowed to take hormones.
Wait, so now you're against puberty blockers?
Yeah.
What the hell? Not only do you not...
Yeah, they're part of the therapy.
That's part of the regimen.
That's what
and
she's
they are
talking
not.
about.
They're not irreversible. They have lasting side effects.
That's transphobic, Tenny.
provide a solution, well, I guess you admit you can't give one, but then you actively go against the best known solution we have so far.
Yeah, and it's a garbage solution that shouldn't be implemented.
Yeah.
That's all I got for that.
Why doesn't this person just tell us how to identify trans people?
Yeah, wouldn't that be the solution?
Why don't you just tell me what are real trans people? What is that? How do I find them? Because obviously there are people who mistakenly think they're trans, so they're obviously not.
You know what, Cav? You're transphobic, no true Scotsman fallacy, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Jesus, this is edging on woo territory.
From where I'm sitting, it shouldn't be controversial to ask that kids not be allowed any transition medications or surgeries or whatever.
I don't think it's a controversial thing to say kids shouldn't have this type of surgery, so stop acting like it is. Oh, and I don't care if Billy Bob or Jilly Jane told you otherwise.
What the fuck is Jilly Jane?
Who's Billy Bob?
I was gonna say, do you guys want an explanation of what that is?
Explanation?
Yeah, that I don't care what Billy Bob or Jilly Jane. That's just I don't care what the flyover states think. I don't care what the hillbillies think. That's what he's saying.
That could be, yeah.
No, that's what it is.
Yeah,
I heard that. Okay. Yeah, like you live in the Midwest, Animal, but you don't live in like the rural Midwest.
No, I don't. You're right. I went to school in the rural Midwest, but the what was I gonna say?
Something about
Oh,
kids.
they were talking about like was the transgender surgeries for kids,
Yeah.
right? What like how come like because I've seen like tons of like stories of like teenagers getting mastectomies. Does that not count as a transgender surgery? I mean, they're having their breasts removed.
You'd think.
Danimal, by 13 years age, they're bleeding, so therefore they're an adult, and I should be able to
Oh,
have
God.
sex with them.
I have
Oh, no.
seen. I mean, I thought I saw a story about a 13-year-old, but
They
like, I mean, I've
bleed.
seen lots of like 15, 16.
I
that have gotten
disavow
double.
pedophile tendencies. Don't do that.
Thank you. I've seen a lot of 15 or 16-year-olds that have gotten double mastectomies for transgender treatment.
I went into this video that we're watching pretty happy. I'm just sad now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's if you look into it and you see the long-term effects of what happens with all these people, it can break your spirit.
It can.
Because they represent a niche of misinformation spreaders, kind of like what you're doing right now.
But in the era of runaway progressivism, controversial it is.
We have more undefined terms. Runaway progressivism.
Oh my God.
Let me tell you, what you're referring to is misinformation, which is also what you are partaking in.
Which isn't to say that if your child believes themselves
Runaway
to be trans, you shouldn't
progressivism,
support
that's
them.
not in my
Let your
rational
child
wiki.
express themselves
Yeah.
however they wish. And through time, they may outgrow it if it's a phase, or they might indeed turn out to be trans, in which case medical intervention once they're older should be a viable option.
You just tried to refute the best option for younger people, so don't tell me how parents should treat their
She just told you why she refuted it, because some of them are not going to be trans, some of them are going to be trans. That's why she's refuting it.
Yeah,
It's a
but
blanket treatment, you don't know how they're going to end up.
Danimal, this person already has a conclusion in their head, and they're gonna,
Right, yeah.
they're just proving that it's real by just declaring it to be so.
Just didn't even listen. Didn't even listen to the video you're reacting to. You didn't even listen to it.
child.
Possibly.
You are on the cusp of woo, and I am not enjoying it.
But this rush to diagnose them will only ruin countless children.
Diagnose like how we diagnose schizophrenia? Also, sunlight can give us cancer. Think of the children.
What?
Sunlight
What?
can give you cancer.
It's
Skin cancer. It can give you melanoma.
There's appeal to emotion, blah blah blah. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
you
that's
have
what
to
that
diagnose
person.
it.
That's what that person is claiming that she is doing. That they're making a "oh, won't you please think of the children" argument.
Also, they keep
It's
saying
technical-
woo, and I don't know what they mean by woo.
Pseudoscience? I think it's shorthand for pseudoscience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're-
it's
But what's
it's
the
meant to be.
pseudoscience? I don't get it.
It's- Are you
They're-
saying you're not defining your terms?
But Cav, they've declared what she said to be pseudoscience, and if you aren't going to accept that that's just the case, then you're a bigot.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I'm compelled.
Yeah. I'm convinced.
As nothing stopped me in my treks quicker than when one source relayed a story about a parent who pushed to get their child on puberty blockers within 1 week of seeing a doctor. For that child's sake, I hope it wasn't a mistake.
No solution is perfect, but you are still advocating against the best option we have.
She's not.
No, that's not what's being argued. You goblin.
Hold on, we have genuinely 1 minute. Let's just.
No, eating corn dogs can give you cancer. Better stop eating corn dogs. Oh my god. And think of the children.
Yes.
Enough. Puberty blockers can be
But yes, though. You shouldn't do things that actively harm you.
Cigarettes can give you cancer. You should probably not smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gavels.
Except when I was like drinking a ton of booze and
Let's continue.
over time can be
Talking about this.
Gavels doesn't want to talk about
reversible
smoking.
and aren't even comparable to the potential cancer you can get from eating corn dogs or standing out in sunlight. That is basically the narrative you are pushing. The cusp of woo-woo, full-on misinformation.
Hey.
I don't think you even give a damn.
The sun can give you cancer is misinformation.
my dude. That's how melanoma exists.
I mean,
He's just kind of
Yeah.
spouting things. And
I mean,
she's just spouting words at this point.
Yeah.
to be fair, I mean, like the idea that sunlight can give you cancer is it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's not untrue, but it's so insignificant, like it would almost never come up unless you were just exposed to an egregious amount of UV radiation from the sun.
Sure. But it does happen.
Conservatards are arguing that I shouldn't be eating uranium.
Eat uranium to own the conservatards.
Look, if you eat uranium, you're not going to die of cancer. You're just going to die of radiation poisoning.
No, I won't.
No.
That's a conservatard talking point.
It's a turf talking point.
You're talking about chuds, Scavels. It's called
Do
chuds.
you have a source for your claim that eating uranium will kill me?
From the fact that a lot of you know what, Teddy, I don't, because unfortunately the only thing I have to go off of is the amount of KGB agents that would use it as an assassination technique.
That's an
fallacy.
appeal to as a historical fallacy.
Yeah, excuse me.
There actually is a thing about eating radium, because they used to paint clocks with like radium because it glows in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
So that the women who painted the clocks, like painted with a paintbrush, would lick like the paintbrush when they dabbed it in like radium, they'd lick it and it'd paint on the clock.
Wow.
Oh
And
my
they
god.
died of radiation poisoning.
Oh my god.
That's
Don't
fucked.
eat things
30
that
seconds!
glow. Come on, guys.
30 seconds. Let's go.
Wow, that was fun.
That was
Fallacy
fun.
ridden, no
Yeah.
sources,
Yeah.
complete ass pulling, indirect science denial.
Wow.
I hope you had fun on this roller coaster of hasty generalizations.
We sure did.
Next
Sure
time
did.
I want to look at something with more elements of pseudoscience and science denial. So if you've enjoyed this video, stay tuned. All my sources can be found in the description. Have a nice
all
day.
six.
There's sources. All 6 Wikipedia sources.
Wait,
Excuse
did
me,
this
3 of them
person
are
make a
rational.
video? Hold on, did this person make a video about Dishonored?
I don't know. Maybe.
Look at their
hold on,
YouTube
it's-
channel. You'll find out.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, it's a
Oh.
let's play of Dishonored.
That was a lot of fun.
That
was a lot of fun.
wow.
Look,
Surprisingly.
even though Danimal constantly made digs at me about quoting some of my favorite 2012 YouTubers. Fuck yourself, by the way. That like genuinely that was fun up until it just I don't know how to describe it other than
Hair pulling.
it started getting depressing because this
Sorry.
person is just it just felt like this person is so willfully ignorant that
Yeah.
they're the kind of person that is going to cause misery for other people in the world.
I think they're in a bubble. They seem to be in a bubble. I mean, and sometimes bubble thinking hurts others. But hey, what are you gonna do? Oh, I need a source on that. I'm sorry.
Oh my god!
Well, let's go ahead and wrap
My
it up.
phone was ringing. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay. Cobb, you want to play us out?
Sure. All right. Tedison, anything to say?
I think we've covered everything you need to cover.
Thoughts? Feelings?
Sophia
prayers?
I think Sophia's video is on point. HRT is too accessible in a lot of parts of the U.S. Parents sometimes do push it onto kids, or push it onto therapists. Therapists sometimes push it onto kids as well. This response video was terrible. It was like a 2011 Reddit tier response, all around awful. This obsession with fallacies, source, over and over. Yeah, it was just pretty much a bad video.
Apples, what's your favorite fallacy?
I don't know any.
Oh. Do you like it because it has the word phallus in it?
Well,
My favorite fallacy is the ad perineum fallacy.
No.
what's that?
I think
don't
Gavel's
think you all know.
favorite fallacy is the phallic fallacy.
Jem, how are you doing?
Each day I become closer to Allah. These videos. I'm only half joking. One of these days I'm gonna go full Muslim. I swear
I
to
will
God.
slay these infidels.
Oh my god.
And I will close this out. That was a lot of fun, I think. So
Hopefully,
got a
it'll be
little
fun to listen
repetitive, obviously, because the person was being so repetitive. But
Oh my god, that was the
we
most
got to be really mean, so that was fun. I like
Yeah.
that part.
to. Yeah.
Ah.
Anyway,
That's
it's been
fun.
good. Have a good night, boys.
Bye bye, boys.
Bye-bye.
Good night, boys.
Bye.